You are now live on Channel 8 and YouTube.
Thank you, TCTV. Good evening. The time is now 6:30 p.m. My name is Vice Chair Matthew Rivard, and I hereby call this Select Board regular business meeting to order on this, the 11th day of December, 2024. You all please join in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for that. We'll be going through the statutory meeting notice. I would like to remind everyone that today's meeting is being broadcast live on TCTV Cable Station 8 and our YouTube web platform. For those who wish to revisit any part of our proceedings, the recording will also be available on our YouTube channel. Your subscription to TCTV would be greatly appreciated. Additionally, if any audience members are recording this meeting or plan to do so, please notify us now. We do have a quorum of the Select Board here this evening. Mr. Bennett to my left, Ms. Griffiths to my right. The chair, Mr. Curry, and select person, Mr. Toth, are not in attendance this evening. Also joining us via Zoom this evening is the town administrator, Mr. LaMontagne, the fire chief, Mr. David Dickey. Our agenda tonight, along with other public documents, is available at templetonma.gov, the official portal for town information. Here you can also subscribe to alerts for all public meetings and our town administrator's weekly report. For immediate updates, including emergency notifications, please enroll in the Code Red alert system through our website or by calling 866-939-0911. This service is vital for staying informed on crucial matters. As chair, I maintain the discretion to modify tonight's agenda as needed to manage time efficiently, utilize personnel resources efficiently, and to ensure public awareness. I reserve the right to rearrange agenda items to best accommodate our proceedings and to honor our guests. If this is your first time attending a Select Board meeting, welcome. We are committed to serving our community with patience, fairness, and efficiency. We ask for the same courtesy and engagement from all of our participants tonight. Let's have a productive and respectful meeting. For the guests who are joining us remotely, the Zoom rules of the road, if it will, please use video whenever possible. Although if you're waiting for your agenda item, we ask you to please keep your video off. Use the mute feature when not speaking. Although TCTV and the chair can place all people on mute, it is easier to control your own button. If you wish to speak, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or politely break in if you are only on the telephone, which I don't think we have anybody that way this evening. If you wish to see the material shared on screen, please request that of the chair. This will help everyone stay synchronized and be helpful to the viewing public. Only the chair and TCTV can share contents on screens. And I would also like to mention that also joining us remotely this evening is Assistant Town Administrator Holly Young. All right. We move to item 3 in our agenda, approval of the minutes of the prior meetings. In your packet, you have minutes from November 20th, 2024 for your review and approval. There's no discussion on the minutes for the meeting on November 20th, 2024. I move to approve the minutes of November 20th, 2024 as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion duly seconded to approve the minutes of November 20th, 2024 as presented. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Well done.
Hearing none on the minutes, on the motion to approve the minutes of November 20th, 2024 as presented. How do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That vote is 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 6:34 p.m. Those minutes are passed as presented. We have no executive session minutes this evening. We move to citizen input. Is there anyone here this evening wishing to provide citizen input? Mr. Graves, please come to the podium.
Hi, Candace Graves, Chair of Parks and Rec, 90 Queen Lake Road, Templeton. I just wanted to thank everybody who's come out to all the things that Parks and Rec has done in the past few days and months. The parade, we had a great turnout. for the tree lighting and the parade. A lot of more people than we expected. April Cover did a great job with the lining up. Terry advised us with giving us some direction, who we could ask and things to, get people to come out. She did her part, and our assistant Rachel came out and helped, thank goodness, because I was by myself. So it was a fun time. Everybody had a lot of smiles and had a good time. We learned from what we do and every year. The next thing we had the other night was the Elf movie at the senior center. That was a great success. Got a lot of people come. We had Elsa, prettiest princess, down there. She couldn't make her flight. She had a flight issue to come to the parade, so she came to the movie night, which was great. The kids were surprised and really enjoyed it. The parents enjoyed it. We had a lot of grandparents that brought their grandkids. Katie did a phenomenal job. Katie McClure, who's our Parks and Rec coordinator for playgroup. Her and her family, they're wonderful. And very respectful to the senior center. Very grateful that we could have that. She has a few things lined up for later in the year to promote the playgroup in the summer. So we're very blessed to have her. Basketball opened. We had our Division 1 and 2 picture day on Saturday, and we'd like to thank everybody for that. I mean, we can't do any of this stuff without our sponsors, our volunteers, our staff. It takes a lot of people to do a lot of things, to put it all together, to do these 3 gyms. So we're very lucky to have had Ray and Bill running around back and forth, making sure everything that me and Rachel got for the basketball program, they were taking it from the senior center and putting it in each gym for us, and then just getting everything. The 4 of us just doing everything together. It was nice to have extra help this year. So we'd like to thank everybody in the community and all the kind words we've heard from other residents and stuff about our programs. They've said some wonderful things about how organized we are as Parks and Rec. And compared to other communities, they really, they can't believe how well our basketball, almost 300 players, 5 divisions, and 30 teams. So they can't believe. A woman came up to us and she said, "I don't know how you did this, but I've never seen anything so organized." I was almost wanting to say we can thank my mom. So it was a lot. I don't know if this is appropriate time or not. I just wanted to address the agenda item, the new member to our board. I stand by what I said before. It's a one-man vote situation. I read the letter. It didn't answer all the questions that I had. I would have wished I could have, or my members could have asked some questions too. It did give us more questions than answers to that situation. And we are very concerned about that aspect of it. We feel like it affect our budget and all the fiscal financial things that we do. So that's one of the concerns we have. We have many others. But it's not my place to say. It's not my vote. It's your vote. But respectfully, we stand with that. We just don't feel like it's a good fit at this time. And that's all I have to say. I'm very excited. The community has just been wonderful lately, coming out and doing a lot of stuff. So it's just been fun. A lot of smiles, a lot of laughter, and that's what we like to see. A lot of fun. So. Thanks.
Thank you,
Oh,
Candace.
and picture day for 3, 4, and 5 division on Saturday and week 2. It's all knock on wood for week 2.
right.
Thanks for basketball.
Candace.
Thanks.
Any other citizen input this evening? Hearing none, we'll close citizen input. We'll go to administrator comments. Mr. Lamontagne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have some good news. We signed the contract for the senior center community kitchen, so that project will be moving along. Also, I'm sure Jeff will be happy to hear this. The Attorney General's office approved the Council on Aging bylaw from the fall town meeting, so that's some more good news. And I put together a Stonebridge study group. I got approached by a citizen in the community that really wants us to, and I kind of explained the whole thing about at the time the decision was made and how it wasn't voted, only town meeting could discontinue that portion of the bridge and allow recreational, then there was funds appropriate. So they're going to take a look at this. and see what could be done. They're going to come up with some ideas, and I'll see what comes out of the study group. And at some point, with their recommendations, I'll bring it to the board. Hope some good things could come from it. The citizens are interested in Stonebridge. So we will wait to see what this study group comes up with. And with that, Mr. Chair, that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Lamontagne. We now go to new business. We have no introductions of new employees this evening. Item B, appointments, Parks and Recreation Commission, Julie Richard. In your packet, you have the committee interest form that was presented, I want to say it's 3 or 4 meetings ago at this point. At that time, it was pushed back, it was asked to delay this to get more information on our ability to appoint Ms. Richard to the Parks and Recreation Commission to ensure there wasn't a conflict with her sitting on the advisory committee. You'll see in your packets as well. I found, like, I took the 2 portions of the bylaws that would have applied in this case, and then I asked town council to give me an opinion, or to give us an opinion on it, and the opinion you will see is in the meeting information as well. At this time, we'll take any discussion or any
Mr.
sort of.
Chair,
Yes.
I disagree in some of the findings by our town council.
Okay,
Also in the application, Parks and Rec is now a commission. We're not a committee anymore. We have been approved by the Attorney General as a commission. So the application is for a committee, not a commission. In town council's words, for the public's sake, the bylaws do not prohibit a member of the advisory committee from being appointed to an unpaid position on another committee. So, no, she could not serve in an elected position on another board. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I looked up, and if I can read it, because I'm nervous. In Massachusetts, a person serving on a town board can generally serve as a commissioner on a different board, but they must be classified as a special municipal employee and may need to disclose potential conflicts of interest depending on the specific circumstances in the town's rules. This is typically allowed if the boards are independent and do not significantly overlap in their duties. If a board member wants to serve on a commission, they are usually designated as a special municipal employee, which requires them to file disclosure forms regarding their financial interests in the position. Key factor is whether the 2 boards operate completely independently from each other with distinct responsibilities and decision-making processes. Example, a member of a town's planning board might be able to serve on the Concom as a special municipal employee if the 2 boards have separate functions and rarely need to interact in matters that could create a conflict of interest. So where Ms. Richard is on, on capital, which is finance, and advisory, which is finance, I think it wouldn't be a good fit. And it is a commission, and this made me wonder, because commissioners their designation should be special municipal employees. So do we need to designate our rec commission now as special municipal employee?
It'd be a separate topic we'd have to take up at a later time.
Okay, so should I ask to be put on an agenda for future
You can do that.
discussion? Holly, Kelsey, Adam, whoever's in charge, could we please have that designation of special municipal employee in regard to commissions on an agenda for future? Well, Adam has his hand up.
Adam, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to know, advisory, I think, is sending something to the select board on special municipal, so we might be able to tie it in with that.
Okay.
With Parks and Rec. Is that what you're saying, Terry?
No, I watched that meeting and Noel asked for that distinction for the advisory committee. This specifically states commissioners. If you want to be on a commission, you should be designated as a special municipal employee on a commission. It didn't say anything about committees being designated as special town, whatever I just said.
Okay, well, I'll look into it.
Okay.
Thank you, Adam.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Adam.
Put that on for us. Put that on for a future meeting, please. Thank you, Terry. Any other discussion?
Yes,
Go ahead, Jeff.
so I'm looking at the opinion from town council. And it says the bylaws do not prohibit a member of the advisory from being appointed to an unpaid position. Which really has no meaning, nothing to do with this. Because the Capital Improvement Committee bylaw specifies that there'll be a member of the advisory committee on there. Now, if those people were paid, town meeting voted to put them on there. So they would be allowed to serve, paid or not paid. Because the bylaw states you cannot be an appointed paid position to be appointed to the advisory committee. But committee members can be entitled to serve upon any committee for which membership is specifically provided for in these bylaws. So town meeting voted that advisory committee member can be on the capital planning committee, even if they were paid. That's town meeting vote. You couldn't be in a paid position to be appointed, but if you're already on there and town meeting says advisory will serve on this, this, or this, then that's
So that's
the bylaw.
legit, but
That's
it's the
the bylaw.
permission.
And that's why I'm against this, because it's not provided for in the bylaws that the advisory committee member will serve on this committee or that committee. It specifically states that you can serve on temporary ad hoc committees or screening committees, appointment committees and such. But to serve on another committee that town meeting is not specified for in the bylaws, it goes against the bylaw as I read it. And I also have a concern about the job of the advisory committee is to make recommendations to town meeting on the budget and all of the articles. So you look at the Mass General Law concerning park commissioners, they have the same authority as selectmen do regarding parks, and playing fields and so forth. So you get into being on the Parks Commissioner and they want to do Houghton Park, you know, and so they're spending money. Where does that go if it's going to town meeting? It goes in front of the advisory committee. So you're trying to objectively look to give recommendations to town meeting, because the reasons they exist is 1870-ish or so.
Yeah.
When the town said, we want somebody else to look at a budget other than the selectmen, say, or the city council. We want another look, another opinion. I think you lose that objectivity when you start serving on committees that have a budget, and then you're supposed to look at that objectively. So if you serve on the Parks Commission and you vote for the budget, and then you get in the advisory committee and you sit there, what are you gonna all of a sudden say, no, I vote against this article? Well, you voted for it over here. It's a conundrum that, and a conflict that I don't think we need, and I think the bylaw spells it out. And my other concern, for requesting a legal opinion is in the Board of Selectmen's operating procedures on page 9, responsibilities of all board members. Board members shall remember that they have no authority to make decisions on behalf of the town or to promote or promise the taking of any action or to take any action as a town official except upon a majority vote of the board or is otherwise allowed by law. So we never voted October 9th, to table the item. All you did was withdraw your motion. You said, I withdraw my motion for clarification. That was it. We did not vote. And that's at about 22 minutes and 47 seconds into the meeting, if you watch the TCTV video. So we did not take a formal vote to table it, and we did not take a vote of the board to seek a legal opinion. So you asked the question, and you took action on yourself on the behalf of the board without a vote of the board. That's another concern I have, that we have policies and we fail to look at them most, if not all of the time.
Guilty.
So again, my concern is straight up, the bylaw states that if you're on the advisory committee, you can't serve on other committees unless they're provided for in the bylaw, such as the capital improvement committee, where town meeting vote says there'll be a member of the board of selectmen. I don't agree with it personally, but I think it's too much conflicts, but that's town meeting vote and that's our bylaw. You can serve on the capital, but not on any other committees. So that's why I voted no before, and that's why I'm against it now. Thank you.
We can either take a motion to do something about the appointment, or we can take no action. If we take no action, then we will continue.
So could you please clarify? So if we,
So
what
we
would
if someone can put a motion into.
not accept?
Well, it would, it should be a positive motion, so it would be to accept, and then if the case were, it would be to vote it down. Or we can take no action and continue with the agenda.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr.
If I
Lamont.
may? No, I know what Jeff's saying,
Mhm.
relative to the policy. The thing is, I also reviewed that tape as well, when it was brought to my attention, and how I interpreted it, because you withdrew your motion, and nobody objected when you were going to look into it further. So I look at it like I know what Jeff's saying, but it's kind of like implied consent too. So I just want to throw that out there as well. I know what Jeff's saying by the board, the board to vote, but you kind of made your statement. So I get where you're both coming from.
Thank you, Adam. I'm gonna ask one more time, is there a motion? Is there a motion to be made, or is there gonna be no action taken? Hearing no motion. Then item B, there is no action taken on item B, and we will continue. Item C, presentation Capital Improvements Committee FY 26 recommendations. I would ask the Capital Committee to come forward, and the committee will dispense with some things that they have to do, including open their meeting as they have a quorum and other things that they have to do.
Right, thank you, Matt. At this time, it is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. It is 6:53 p.m. and I call this meeting of the Capital Improvements Committee to order. I am Justice Graves, the chairman. To my right is Julie Richard Clerk, and to her right is Daniel Kirby, Assistant Treasurer Collector. And Mr. Lamontagne is the ex officio member on Zoom as the town administrator. With that, we have a quorum and we can dispense with business. The first item on our agenda is the review and approval of the meeting minutes of December 3rd. Did everybody get a chance to review those meeting minutes?
Did I make the motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Second.
All right, I have a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll go to the vote. How do you vote, Danielle?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That vote was unanimous. All right, item number 3, the authority for the chairman to approve the meeting minutes of this meeting. Several years ago, the bylaws were changed to allow under chapter 9, section 7D, to allow for, so that we don't run into an open meeting law issue, me to approve the meeting minutes of the proceedings that we're having right now so that those can be uploaded. In the past, we've typically made a motion to authorize it, even though the bylaws state that the chairman shall do that duty. So it's up to the committee. We can do a formal vote right now to authorize me to do that. Because that's what we've done customarily. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Does anyone want to make a motion, or does anyone have an opinion on it?
I would make a motion to approve that.
For me to, be authorized to approve the last set of
Authorized to
meeting
approve,
minutes?
yeah.
Okay, so a motion's been made. Does anyone want to second that?
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any discussion? Right, seeing none, we'll go to the vote. How do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. That was unanimous. All right, item number 4 on our agenda is the review and approval of the FY 2026 capital report. I did send that out last week to all of you. There is there's 2 adjustments that I would make on it. Just to start off, you have copies of what I would do and highlighted in green here. There's a letter that's left off on page 14, the letter T starting the letter the, and then I updated the report, but I totally forgot to include those sections in our submittal letter to the select board and advisory committee on page 3. I have copies of what I'm changing, highlighted in green on. So.
Good catch.
So. If we were to approve it tonight, that's how I would recommend approving it. And I do have copies of what we're amending for the select board if it wasn't approved like that. So just so that everyone's aware. Does everyone have a chance to go through the full report? Does anybody have any questions on it? Nobody has any issues, or questions. I would entertain any motion relative to amending and approving the capital report as presented.
So moved.
And I will second that motion, Julie. So a motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Danielle? No, I was asking if there's any
No,
discussion. No, you don't have
no.
any.
I was like,
I didn't even-
what's your discussion gonna be?
Based on this.
I didn't catch that.
No, I don't
Surprised
have
didn't catch that.
Okay, so if no discussion, we'll
You're so
vote.
thorough, you're throwing us off.
That's okay.
No, hold on, I have something, Justice.
Yeah, okay, Adam, what do you have?
So this made me ponder this because at this special town meeting, even though the select board put together the motion for it to come out of free cash, there still was an amendment. The select board put forward the motion for it to come out of free cash, but there was an amendment. Oh my God, I'm misspeaking here. Jeez. The select board put the motion for the kitchen to come out of the capital stabilization account. There was an amendment for it to come out of free cash.
Mhm.
But according to the recommendations from capital, the recommendations are being specific on certain accounts. So, I mean, the select board's motion prevailed. So, but if it was specific and the capital's making recommendations a certain way and it's not coming out that way, and town meeting makes a decision, then town meeting's the legislative body and supersedes the capital's recommendations.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, Adam, but Capital in its report has always put so we've always been presented with suggested sources of funding, and that's always been listed in the report. And we've always been given a working amount of capital, and we've always suggested, hey, we would prefer, for example, with the meals tax issue, which is a comment in there. We wanted to be funded explicitly for meals tax on some of these items in the past, but we know it's coming out of working capital and we anticipate that within it. Just because the committee is recommending this and recommends or favors a certain funding source, if a better opportunity comes around or there's a better way of doing it, I don't understand how that would bind the town from doing any other action.
I'm just saying, I think
The town
sometimes,
meeting or prevails, so I'm not saying.
well, I mean, if you're gonna be so specific with everything, I mean, sometimes less is more. I mean, there's capital recommendations. That's what the capital committee does and does their presentation. I think it's really the select board's prerogative to decide where the funding source is, since the select board do the budget.
Correct, but
I'm
if
just
you.
saying, I mean, the capital has a role to play with recommendations, but if they're gonna be so specific with the funding sources, I mean, the select board does the budget.
So, Adam, that's correct. So what's in the report in those sections, those are the funding sources that were presented to capital from the applicants. If you look at the section labeled recommendations, generally speaking, you'll see that there's the working capital section, you'll see the enterprise or non-tax impacting section, which specifies different funding sources, yes, for that. However, we've always specified for the non-tax impacting, like ARPA funds, ARPA funds are technically from taxation, but that's from the federal level. And then you have the enterprise funds, which are fee or service based. So that's always been the case with the non-tax impacting section. And then in the tax impacting section, if I go to specific. Nations. Like if you go to the FY 2026 recommendations to be funded through working capital, it doesn't even state what the working capital funding source is. Those are the requested amounts. That's what we were given and budgeted for. And then if you look at the, recommending of acceptance on page 18 for all those that we couldn't fund. Again, we've always listed where the applicants are bringing or suggesting those funding sources, whether it be from match grants, whether it be from free cash, whether it be, a plea to use the capital stabilization fund. I just don't, if I've looked at past reports and I believe that it's been in there. I mean, we haven't changed that. So I get what you're saying, but again, if the town has a better opportunity to fund something, then I don't see how it's so binding.
So you're saying this is just a recommendation. You're not telling the select board how to fund it, are you?
We have no budget authority as capital improvements.
Oh,
We
okay.
have
So
to go
the whole
through-
thing was just confusing to me. I just didn't really understand it. And then with the motion and then the amendment at the special town meeting, and then the recommendations from the capital report, I think it just, now I think you kind of cleared it up. So it's just a recommendation. You're not instructing the select board to do a certain thing. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, we can't, so this is the whole thing. If we're talking about the senior center kitchen, the senior center kitchen was considered a couple of years on capital, and I believe it was recommended to either use capital stabilization at one point. I think it might have been an idea tossed around, but I think in the report, it talked about using ARPA funds or free cash, and we all know that it wasn't, used with ARPA funding. I know that was tossed around a few times. So and that was several capital cycles ago. It's not even in this report.
Mhm.
So I understand what you're talking about, Adam, but again, this committee can't bind the Board of Selectmen to do anything. It's the selectmen's job to work with you on determining the budget and presenting that to town meeting floor.
Mhm.
Is my understanding. I don't know what the other committee members.
I absolutely agree with you 100% on that.
Okay. Adam, do you have anything else?
He's muted.
Okay.
No, I'm all set. I just wasn't used to that. Maybe that's a new thing. I don't know. That was just weird.
That's okay. We could talk about former reports and we could look at that, but that's not what I'm implying by this. So we have a motion made and seconded to approve the capital report as amended. Is there any further discussion? No. All right, seeing no further discussion, we will go to the vote. How do you vote, Danielle?
This time, yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. That was approved unanimously 3-0. And since it was approved with the amendment, I'm going to give out copies with the highlights to the board. It doesn't change any of the recommendations that were made, but just so that you have a complete picture here.
Kelsey, please note that the capital committee handed out
Thank
amended
you, Justice.
amendments to their capital recommendations report for item C.
I have copies that I can give one to you.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, we are on to both the select board the presentation of the capital report and our recommendations. So. Select board members, thank you for having us this evening. The capital report that you have received, is, the draft that you received and the amendments that you received, have been the byproduct of, now it's been 8 meetings of work from the committee. All of you here have had, this presentation before and have seen what capital is recommended before, but just so that the public is aware, the Capital Improvements Committee is a recommending body that is authorized by the bylaws to review all capital requests over $10,000 and then to provide a capital improvement plan 5 years out, and then an immediate recommendation plan for the upcoming fiscal year on what priorities the town should have in terms of its capital items, which are basically anything that has a useful life of at least more than, I want to say, between 3 and more so odd years, and would generally be considered a one-time purchase in and of itself. This isn't for items that are recurring expenses of the town that we know are going to happen year to year. That would be the duty included in the operating budget of the town. With that being said, the report generally details an introduction letter to the select board detailing what the committee has done this year. We talk about our process, and then we go into what was requested and what we are recommending. The changes from years past, just so that the public is aware, is we did add a couple of new sections and we did make a couple of changes that I wanted to address to the select board this evening. You will notice that we now have 8 sections in an appendix. In the past, that we've always had 7 sections. 6 sections on the capital report. The sections that were added were a summary of past and current capital item counts. The committee thought that that was important so that we could have a more holistic look at what has been presented in the past. What are the types of items that we've been seeing over the years and what are the needs of the town? Those items were counted within 9 distinct categories of feasibility studies, designs, land acquisitions, construction of buildings, construction on anything related to highway. That includes any roads, bridges, or related infrastructure such as cable or even sewer and water underneath the ground there. Construction, land improvements, any land improvement that is not on a building. Departmental equipment, anything that's vehicular, and anything that doesn't quite fit in there in the other category, such as software enhancements that are one-time, etc. The report also added a more specified and more detailed capital improvement plan this year in section 7. And then if you look at the appendix, there is a summary of the past actions of town meetings, categorizing or labeling past actions within the 9 categories that I just described, just to again make the select board and future committees aware of what the town has done, what the town needs to do, and to start looking at that in a more, I would say, informed manner, but in a different manner than what we've done in the past. So that we can have a capital outlook on that. With that, the committee went through over, I want to say we had 33 requests overall. There were several that were non-tax impacting, and there were several that were tax impacting. What I will go to is our recommendations and our capital plan for the upcoming year. So if you go to page, you go to page 13 in the document, that is the 5-year out capital improvement plan from FY 2026 to FY 2031. And then if you go to page 17, that is what the start of the FY 2026 capital recommendations. The committee this year had between 300 to 325,000 of working capital, as estimated by the town administrator for use in its capital improvements this year. And outside of the school or any enterprise related funds, there were over 2.2 million in requests from department heads just in this year. Asking for a variety of much needed equipment. Some of it has been recurring for many years. Some of this stuff is not anything that both the select board and the committee hasn't seen in the past. There are a few new things. In our 2026 recommendations, we recommended for the town to prioritize the utility pickup, the senior center generator, the Berry Road design work, and contingent on doing the Berry Road design work, that it needs to start planning in FY 2028 and beyond to fund fixing Berry Road. The town hall pavement and permanent sidewalk fixes, NRSD's updated software and mitigating their bird problems over at Templeton Elementary School, the bulletproof vests and a radar trailer replacement for the police, the town hall window replacements, and then the stand-on blower and hydraulic 3-yard sander for buildings and grounds. Anything that the committee didn't feel anything that the department heads requested this year was not unimportant to the town, and so we recommended that the town needs to pursue all of them. However, within the working capital, we can't physically do it within any given year. That's just a physical impossibility to the town. It's never been an opportunity for us to do that. So with any items that we weren't able to fund, what we set within, pages 13 to 16, goals of where the town needs to start looking to fund these items, not knowing quite what the town is going to be able to afford in those out years yet. But being able to start to say, this needs to be funded at a minimum. Once it gets to this year, we need to start placing that higher and higher on the list until we fund it. And then anything incidental to that, such as Berry Road, well, you're going to fund the design work for Berry Road or something such as that. Well, you can't we rarely ever get a design. So when we do approve a design, we need to understand that there's going to be more work that's done beyond that, and that needs to be reflected in our capital plan. So those are things that the committee looked at and considered while we were working on this year. The non-tax impacting requests were also approved, all the ones for Templeton Community Television, TCTV, and then the three requests that the police are going to be using out of the ARPA funds. They are going to do the vehicle replacement this year, we were told, out of committed ARPA funds, as well as fixing the police station flooring and the seal coat station driveway and parking area. With that being said, all of the other items that were considered this year, we just couldn't fund. There were possible funding sources that we were told about. However, there just wasn't enough in working capital to be able to do those in this year. What I also want to highlight is new to this year, we did, while we were working to come up with our comments with our working capital plan, there were some things when we were trying to develop our recommendations that really kind of stood out. They've stood out for a couple of years, at least on 2 of them. But the first comment is regarding TCTV. If anyone looks at the public free cash certification, it doesn't just certify free cash, it does certify the enterprise funds retained earnings. While we did approve all of TCTV's enterprise fund requests, and we've never told them not to pursue something, they physically do not have enough retained earnings to do that. They don't have enough in their revenues to do that. And in future years, that is going to become more of a problem. It's not just, we talked about it at the capital meeting. While the operating budget isn't the committee's jurisdiction, you can see it evidently with the retained earnings that we're going into across now. They're not going to be able to fund their capital requests. They're not going to be able to fund their operating budget. And so that's something that we wanted to bring forward, that when we start to see these issues, the select board needs to prioritize or come up with an option for how we're going to deal with enterprise funds that go towards this level, and it should be across all enterprise funds that may run into this situation, because any enterprise fund that potentially runs into a deficit, that can become an issue for the town, because that's the town's liability. They are departments of the town. It is the town's responsibility if anything were to happen with that. But ultimately, that's up to the select board. The way that that is interacting with capital this year is because of the low amount of retained earnings they have, and the understanding that we could approve almost any single one of these items. They don't have enough in retained earnings to even do one of them. It would all have to come out of their regular budget. And even that might not support it. So that's just something that we wanted to highlight this year in this report. The committee also discussed the issue of transparently funding projects through meals tax revenues. We considered it within our working capital, but it's always been a discussion point within the committee, and it became more of a discussion point this year because the police vehicle is being funded through ARPA funds this year. And that created an opportunity for any small highway vehicles to be purchased through it instead. That was the understanding that we had from what town meeting was presented years ago when they approved us having the meals tax revenues. So with it being the way that it is, we do consider it being taken out of the working capital. Our hope would be that the select board endeavor to address the issue of how that can be dealt with, so that we know what those monies are going to be, at least in terms of, police vehicles and small highway. So that way we can better plan out for the future, but also because it's been a question for a number of years in terms of transparency. So that's just something that we wanted to bring up. The committee would also like to communicate that with implementing this capital improvements plan, that all requests moving forward, we have to spread things out a little bit more in terms of what people are requesting. The committee for many years has been receiving requests that, do it in the next upcoming fiscal year, and you'll actually see it on page, it's right after the capital improvement report. It's on page 16. You'll notice that we're not getting a lot of requests in the out years, even if these items have a long and expected life. So that is something that we wanted to at least bring to the select board's attention, but that's something that is also being included so that future capital committees can start highly prioritizing that more. Because if you look at, FY 2029, FY 2030, and FY 31, there isn't a lot to work with in those out years because we don't know what to expect going out that far yet. So those are just some of the things that I wanted to highlight in this year's report. With that being said, I think I've talked quite a bit. I don't know if any of my fellow committee members want to present on anything that they were thinking about during the process. Or if there's anything in general that they wanted to outline that we had talked about and voted. No?
I want to be able to say this as well as, this is a tough committee sitting here right now, that, you're given 300,000 and your employees of the town of Templeton are looking for 2.1 million. I absolutely love the way that Justice has spread out ideas in the fact that if you buy a police vehicle this year, what do you need in 2029? So why don't you send us that? Because they cram it, sitting and watching the process. I was like, they're just throwing it all at you for the very next fiscal budget.
Right.
That is such a challenge. To have to look at all of those requests, because they're all very important. I think that the select board should really encourage their department heads to look further out in the future, because I think it's going to help with your capital planning.
Well,
Just my thought.
and Julie, just to bounce off of that, it isn't just sort of to highlight that problem. It's the committee. I mean, we put it on our forms to, plan out for multiple fiscal years, FY 20, whatever to the next one. But rarely do, Steve's the only TCTV is the only one that I've seen, go out to at least a year or two out sometimes on the forms themselves. The report isn't just for the selectmen. When working on what I proposed to put into the report, and I'm sort of just speaking as me as an individual member, it wasn't just for the selectmen, it was for the next year's capital committee and the next one after that, to
Right.
look at this as an example and say, this is what they were challenged with, this is what was the problem. And it's up to the committee on some respects to look at the departments and say, hey, we need at least a couple more years out of equipment, because we can't just keep planning from year to year, because we're seeing how that's playing out, at least on, and they don't even plan out year to year when it comes to the issue of the enterprise fund with TCTV, how that sort of plays out with, low retained earnings, how that sort of manifests. So I would go as an individual member and say it's not so much of an issue with the select board as it is the committee needs to look at this in the future and push more for it when we go through our recommendations next year, but it's good for all parties for this to be published and be aware of that. So that's sort of where I was coming from on my end, but I understand your point as well. It's really the same.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be out there. People need to be aware of it. I think you did a fantastic job on putting this report together, because I could sit down and I could literally look at how often has the highway asked for this one specific item for the last 7 years, and has always been put down because they have no money to do it. You know what I mean? And, or you look at the police or any one of the departments, and you look and you can look at how it started way back here, and it's no. Oh, and maybe. I feel like
Yep.
you're stuck. Good luck with your budget. It's hard.
With that, does anybody else have any other general comments? With that, it's your meeting, it's our presentation to you. Does the committee have does the board have any questions,
Just,
comments or dialogue with us?
so I got a little thrown off because in my packet, I only had 24 pages, but the amendments say 26
Oh,
pages.
whoops, I must have accidentally did something when I printed these out. There's only 24 pages.
Okay, so, and then, just as, I don't know if I need to do something, or, again, this cloud storage on page 7 for TCTV, cable. Right now, the package from the DPW that I've been trying to follow, the, software package is kind of a little bit it's implemented, but it's a little bit at a standstill. But if other town entities partner in that software package, it's free cloud for them. It's one price, no matter how many entities in town for cloud. It's one price. So that could be, and I'm not saying do it, I'm just saying for the future, we might want to look at streamlining what the highway department software packages and with other departments. Sewer's already on board and they're finding it very handy. So they're covered under the one-stop shopping cloud. And it's not an outrageous price hidden. It's just a regular, one charge, similar to like 10 grand. I can look it up for everybody. So that was one point I wanted to make. And then, because Justice, you and I think alike, I think is it on page 17? 13 page. Sorry, I had it and then I lost it. Check.
Come on, take a minute, Terry. We'll come back to it.
Yes, please.
Jeff, do you have anything?
Yes. It's the most detailed report I've seen. It is also the closest to the bylaw required 5-year plan looked out. And I know you can send the forms, but if the departments aren't giving you what I'd like this year and next year, you can't force it to them. So I thank you for that. And I do hear you, as far as, they're not doing their part, and there's not much you all can do it, but this board could certainly do it. You didn't give them their 5 years thing. You didn't give them, you followed the bylaw. It's not going on the warrant. You get nothing. It's my personal view on it. It's. The highway department told us back in 2012, their 1996 Volvo Lotus were both junk. They were both needed to be replaced, but one of them still running up and down the road. If it's that bad, redline it and you don't have it anymore. But again, your report, again, is the most detailed one I've seen, and it's the closest to a 5-year lookout that's required by the bylaw that I've seen. So I appreciate that. I guess it's gonna be on this board to instruct the town administrator to tell the departments that this is the bylaw. When you go to capital, you need to give them the information that they need to do their job. That's simple. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jeff. Terry, did you find what you were looking for?
I did.
Okay.
Because I know Justice is a stickler for perfection, so on page 8. A request for the work to do the roof replacement on the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh,
It's a T. It's a matter of a T,
Right.
but you found a T, a missing T. I found a missing T, so. I appreciate your
Say I
attention to
still
detail.
refuse to do any meeting minutes for the town of Templeton. I'll go on record to say that.
Well, I appreciate his attention to
challenging.
detail, and his report was superb, and I'm very grateful. So, no, I know, right?
because it's a word.
Because
How it's how our brains work.
spell check wouldn't have caught it. Mhm.
No, it's how our brains work.
Are there any other comments from the board?
Well done. Thank you.
At this time, I'll accept the motion to accept the FY 26 capital improvements as presented.
So seconded. I mean, so moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the FY 26 capital improvements report as presented. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none on the motion to accept the FY 26 capital improvements report as presented. How do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
How do you vote, Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That vote is 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 7:27 PM. Mr. Graves, if you would like to adjourn your committee, please go ahead.
Okay, at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. How do you vote, Danielle? Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That motion passes at 7:27 PM. We stand
Hey,
adjourned.
gentlemen, how are you?
Well done. Thank you.
Great job.
Continuing with the new business, moving to item D, action recopy, Toshiba copier contract renewal.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lamont, I'm gonna say, before you, before anyone makes a motion, Mr. Lamont.
Yeah, if we can, because Kevin Pecos, I believe, is there.
No.
I think he drove out some way. Is there any way we could move him up?
That
Is that
was,
health
I
insurance?
second that motion. That's what I was gonna say.
No, I just want to say, because the chair reserves the right, so if the committee's cool with him moving it.
Give me one
Kevin
second.
Pecos can give up with the health insurance switch.
Give me one
Absolutely.
second. Does the board have any problem with taking item I out of order at this time and then returning to item C, or to return to item D once that is completed?
That's exactly what I was gonna ask you.
So you don't have a problem, Jeff?
No.
In that case, let's go. In that case, I will use my authority as the chair to move item I of new business up, update health insurance change. Gentlemen, just do me a favor, please identify yourselves and who you represent to the publics, and then you are, and then we'll let you go through your presentation. And this is in the, and this is in your packet, again, item I.
Kevin Pecos, with the company NFP, National Financial Partners, we are your advisors on your health plan, employee health plan.
Hi, Mark Rogers. I'm a selectman of the town of Webster.
Okay.
And I'm here as a courtesy.
Excellent.
The Webster is the home community town administrator, is chairman of the board for Mass Strategic. Rick couldn't be here tonight, so
Okay.
Mark is appearing in his stead. You might remember Rick was here with us in the spring. So first of all, thank you for taking us out of order. Not a nice fit for man or beast, so
That's-
so that we can get home a little better.
Safe.
You and us both.
It's a fascinating
I
drive getting here.
can only imagine on Route 2.
Yeah. So thank you, and thanks, Adam, appreciate it. So what this presentation is about is to review what exactly we told you in the spring and what exactly has happened since then. It's very important, to us as consultants to take responsibility. We make a recommendation to you and you follow that recommendation, to then come back and tell you how it worked out. Now, wish I could tell you, I always give people happy news. I don't always, but in this case, I've got really good news to give you. So this will be fun tonight. Have not had a lot of that lately because claims are up like crazy everywhere, for a lot of reasons. But you're running spectacularly well, so that's great. So these slides, many of these slides were actually drawn out of the March 27th presentation we gave you. At the top, which some of them have actually said that. So this first slide, what the select board told on March 27th. You remember these were your renewal rates for the past few years, and we said based on this, it appeared you were being overcharged. Now, you're not being overcharged by Maya because anybody decided they're going to take advantage of you. It is simply the case that when you're in a big health trust, there are winners and losers. And since the Maya Trust is predominantly geared toward Boston now, if you look at not so much the member communities, because they're scattered everywhere, but the heaviest population, very much oriented toward Boston. And prices for medical care there are much higher than they are here. You want to Google that sometime, put in average non-complicated appendectomy in Boston, Worcester, Springfield. You will be startled at the price differences. So, and the truth of that assumption was, we call that geographic bias in a way. So the further you are from the teaching hospitals and the medical centers, the less expensive your medical care tends to be. And when Arthur J. Gallagher is the consultant to Mass Strategic, we're the consultants to you as a member of it. When the underwriter looked at your history, he said, quote, "The truth is that Maya has made a huge profit on this group, Templeton, since they joined." Not a profit, but you paid more than you needed to subsidize others that had more claims. So what's happened since July 124 when you joined the Mass Strategic Health Group? And remember, before I give you that result, Maya had offered you a 3.5% rate increase for July 124. Mass Strategic offered you a 0, or what we call a rate hold. So you took that rate hold. So with a 3.5% lower rate, the following happened. So if you look at this chart, and I'm not going to take you through the whole chart, but what I want you to look at is the column that says in the far right that says year to date total, and you notice that down there's 84,431. So what's happened, and in July, August, September, October, the first 4 months of the year, this report goes through October. It doesn't yet have the November results. So you paid a certain amount of premium in. Mass Strategic on your behalf has paid all your medical claims. They paid your stop loss insurance, your administrative fees to Harvard Pilgrim or HPI. And you can see down the bottom month over month what has been either surplus or negative. So if you see a positive number, then the difference between claims and your premium was that positive number. If you see a negative number, that means for that month, claims exceeded what you paid in premium. And if you add the 4 across, you come up with that 84,000 figure surplus. So far this year, you are 84,000 to the good. That
Through
money is
4
yours.
months.
What's that?
Through 4 months. Through 4 months.
Through 4 months.
Yeah.
So look at go to slide 5. That surplus is your money. Mass Strategic is very unique. If you were in Maya, you would have generated a surplus just equally as what you did here, but Maya would own that. You don't own it. Now you get some sort of credit in the great big formula that they do, but you can't really distinguish, and they're not going to tell you. But with Mass Strategic, that money is yours dollar for dollar. What can you use it for? It's the property of the town, the taxpayers, the town, and the employees in the same proportion to which they paid in. So 75-25, 25% of that money is the property of the employees, 75% of the property of the town. You can use it to reduce rates in the future. You can use it to declare a premium holiday where you don't collect the town and the employees' money for a month. You leave the town's money in the budget, in the treasury. You leave the employees' money in their pocket. We'll see how it all spins out by June 30 next year. But this is so far. So this is pretty good news. Now, just recall, how Mass Strategic is built. It's built strictly for municipalities by municipality. There's a bunch of municipal employee help. It's a regional collaborative. It stretches all over from the New Hampshire border down to almost Rhode Island. And the furthest west, you may be the furthest west community, and furthest east would probably be Abington. But it's that whole middle section there, a bunch of towns in it. They're governed by a board of directors consisting of town administrators, school superintendents, school business managers, municipal chief, financial officers, treasurers, and CEOs of educational collaboratives. Mass Strategic is self-insured for health benefits, dental, life, vision, and the largest and best retiree health insurance program in the state of Massachusetts, probably the best one in the country. The next slide, I'll stick your fingers there. There we go.
Slide 7, if you're following along at home, just
Yeah,
say.
so slide number 7. Adam is your voting member on the board of directors. Holly is your alternate, so if Adam can't be there, Holly's there. Arthur J. Gallagher is the consulting company that manages Mass Strategic. We don't run Mass Strategic. NFP is your advocate. So when you have an issue with Mass Strategic, we step in on your behalf. We have no divided loyalty. Our loyalty is strictly to Templeton, to the employees, and to the board, and to the taxpayers. Gallagher runs the whole trust. So there's 2 different consultants working here, and it's important that you understand the distinction between the 2. Health Plans, Inc., HPI, which is a division of Harvard Pilgrim, is the administrator for Mass Strategic. NFP is the exclusive advisor to Templeton and has no allegiance to Mass Strategic. We see it as a good opportunity, great place to take you, but we have no allegiance, and we might just come back to you in 2 years and say, not the best deal anymore. Going back to Maya's the best deal. Don't know, things change. Things are very dynamic and volatile in the world of health insurance these days, believe me. We serve to advise you, and that is that. Mass Strategic, next page, page 8, is built by and for municipal clients. It was 3 members in 2021. It became 10 members on July 1st, 22. And on July 1st, 23, it became 18 voting members. And on July 1st, 24, they didn't add any new members, as far as I know, except you and Narragansett. So now it's up to, I think the 18 voting members actually represents the 2 of you who came in on July 1st, 24. Current subscribers, 9,300 municipal employees are now in this group, plus their dependents. So all in, this group now represents somewhere north of 25,000 employees and their dependents. It is a huge group now. The retirees now in this group are 8,750. So this group is pushing 40,000+ people now. It's probably the 3rd largest group in the state after Maya and the GIC. So it's a huge group, which is good. They also have the best pharmacy benefit management program. Pharmacy benefit management is a simple concept. Companies intervene with your employees' use of pharmacy, RX, prescription drugs, and try to help them to find cheaper ways to do that. So there are massive complexities in how that works. It is not my purpose tonight to go through that unless you want to know something about it. I promise I will cure your insomnia if you ask me about that. But the bottom line is what I'm at here, and here's the bottom line. In the 5 years that this group has existed, their pharmacy benefit manager, CVS Express Scripts, the largest pharmacy benefit manager in the country, has returned $7.5 million directly back to the member communities. 5 years, 7.5 million, 18 communities. This is an astronomical success story. Now, if you were with Blue Cross Blue Shield, fully insured, or you were with Maya, or you were with the GIC, they do the same thing, but you don't get the money. They keep the money. Now, they tell you that they lower your rates with it. And they do. but they don't give you dollar for dollar value, I promise you. Mass Strategic gives you dollar for dollar. So, slide number 11. This is the slide in black that actually was presented to you on March 27th. If you've still got that PowerPoint around, you will find this slide in there. So let's review what we said we hope would happen, and let's review what has happened. So no increase in current rates for 7/1/24, your 0% renewal, that happened. All surplus generated becomes the property of the town of Templeton and its employees. Forgive me, please, there's a $156,000 typo. Your copy may say 84. I hope it does. Does it?
Yes.
Oh, good. Adam fixed it. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate the help. Because 84 came off that chart.
Yep.
156 was a number a month ago, but it changed because there was some retroactive pharmacy bills that came in and Gallagher changed your numbers. And this slide may not get corrected
Accurate.
in my copy, but it is in yours.
Okay.
So 84,000 is what you own right now. The fee that you were paying us, 9,500 was eliminated, and that is now your money. We most importantly wanted to get access to claims data, because you remember, as a community under 100, Maya does not give you claims data. It's a way to kind of lock you in. Because without claims data, we can't take you out to the competitive marketplace. You now get claims data every month, and that's that chart. You get them every month now. We know exactly what's going on with your claims, and it's a potent weapon for us when we try to look at how to manage your healthcare and look for better opportunities for you and the employees. And pharmacy, and finally, pharmacy rebates, we told you you'd get them, you got them. Unfortunately, they're not gonna get announced for the first 6 months until January. But I'm gonna be back here to talk to you, probably late January, early February, about the renewal for July 1, what your rate will be, and I'll have that number for you.
Okay.
But whatever it is, it's gonna add to this presentation. Slide 12. Number 6, we told you that you'd have full disclosure of accumulating surplus, and you do. We told you that you would have full access to pharmacy rebate funds beginning of 7/1/24, and ownership of those funds being returned would be by Templeton and your employees, and you do. And I'm sorry, I do not have the number, but that is something I can't control. That's off to Jay Gallagher and CVS Express Scripts, and they will have that number in just a few weeks. And we'll send it to you. And finally, duplication of current plan design benefits and medical provider network. Now, when a new community leaves Blue Cross Blue Shield Maya, leaves Harvard Pilgrim, leaves Tufts, wherever you go, and you go to a new insurance company, and that's essentially what you did. There are always problems, because what HPI does is they take your plan design straight from Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's all digitized. There's nothing manual. And they load it into their computer. The network is the same, the network of providers, physicians, doctors, et cetera. But there are always glitches. So there are a lot of glitches in July and August. And I'm going to talk about exactly how many complaints were filed and what happened with them. So we told you your current plan design would be duplicated. It has been. Now, when they load it, there are always some glitches. So we know people were saying, I went to the doctor's office and I didn't have my $10 copay. The doctor said I now had a 20. That's a mistake. It got fixed. But there were problems. I know one individual went to their doctor, they had surgery scheduled, and the doctor said, you're not going to get it because I don't know who these people are. Well, we fixed that. Another doctor said, I'm not in their network. Well, they were. We had to call the doctor's office and say, you're in the Harvard Pilgrim network, right? Oh, yeah. Well, then you're in HPI because HPI is Harvard Pilgrim. Oh, well, we didn't know that. So all these problems happen. To get specific, the next 2 pages quantify it for you. And so you had 79 complaints filed. And I won't go through all of this. You can read it at your leisure. The point is, all of the complaints that were filed, that's what these 2 pages talk about, were dealt with. There's a company called White Glove. Now, 10 years ago, you heard the development of a whole new industry in healthcare called a concierge service, or called a claims adjudicator, or it went by a lot of names. And what they were folks who knew a lot about health insurance and hospitals, And when you experienced a problem, they would take care of the problem for you. Well, that got institutionalized in a quick hurry, and now there's whole companies that do it. And this group has hired one called White Glove. So your employees are now given the information, and any problem they have, anything, they're told to call White Glove, and White Glove immediately intervenes and attempts to fix the problem. So what these records show is that you had quite a few complaints that were filed in those 2 or 3 months. Every single one of them was successfully adjudicated on behalf of the employee. Not one problem did not get resolved. And this is the record that proves that. Now, if somebody were to come forward to you and say, well, you know, my doctor's not in the network, I would say to that employee, please tell me the name of the doctor, and in 24 hours, I will determine, or White Glove will, that the doctor is indeed in the network, and that is a misunderstanding. And that's what these records are all about. So 4 months in the process. Yeah.
No, if you could just let the board also know, there was a screw up because they sent the wrong health insurance card the first month. Remember that created some issues because the plan designs weren't exactly accurate.
Yep.
So I just wanted the board to be aware. And so a lot of those calls were initiated because of that mess up. But with any transition, there's some bumps in the road. So I'm happy you're highlighting that to the board so they're aware.
Yep, that happened, and we got quite a few complaints on that basis. I don't necessarily fix the complaints, but I monitor them all because I'm CC'd on everything. So I see them all. My job is to make sure Gallagher and White Glove fix them. My job isn't to fix them. My job is to just be the bad guy and make sure they fix them. They don't like me much, but I don't care. Because, you know, our job is to fix your problems, and that doesn't mean I have to make them my friends.
I
Your
appreciate
employees, White Glove, Arthur J. Gallagher and Aetna and HPI and all the rest. Okay, let's talk about your retiree plan. So you have the Aetna retiree plan. It comes part and parcel with Mass Strategic. You're not required to take it, but we made a presentation and everybody said, yep, that sounds awful good. Now, this part is a real success story because this is the one where people were actually presented the retirees. There were meetings, they were shown, and they said, this sounds pretty good. In fact, it sounds too good to be true. Well, it's everything that we represent it to be. So again, without going through this, the Aetna retiree plan is the largest municipal retiree plan in America. It has 1.5 million subscribers in it, all municipal employees. In New England, it's got a presence of somewhere around 500,000 of those employees. Huge presence in New England, close to 9,000 in Massachusetts alone. That's that number you saw earlier. And they provide better benefits than any other retiree carrier can, including Harvard Pilgrim Enhance and Blue Cross Blue Shield Medics too. Now, the benefit improvement is not massive, but it is an improvement. Eyeglasses, dental, 12 meals following surgical stays, transportation to and from all medical appointments. If somebody wants to, you know, an Uber to the doctor, they're going to get it. So if they're a retiree, they're elderly, they don't have a car, they don't drive, or it's bad weather, they don't want to drive, but they want to get to the doctor, and they notify them 48 hours in advance, they will be picked up and brought home. So lots of nice benefits. And these next few pages go through those things. And I did all this with you back in March, so I won't, you know, bore you go through it, but these things are just really a reminder. Page 18 is an important one because we want to remind the board. This plan is a true national network. So every single Medicare signatory doctor, every doctor, provider, MRI facility, hospital in America who signs and accepts Medicare rates, called a Medicare assignee, is part of the Aetna network. That is not true with any other retiree plan that we know of. So if you're in Peoria and you need a doctor and you're on this plan, there's going to be hundreds of doctors you can see because in Peoria, there's lots of Medicare doctors. It doesn't matter where you are, you're going to see a doctor. This is one of the strongest parts of this plan. The second strong part of this plan is that there's no referrals required. Now, some other of the competing medical plans don't require, some do. This is the only one that universally does not require referrals. So what we hear back from the retirees, after we get through that period of time where people are skeptical, they're saying, it sounds awful good, we'll take it, and we hope it does everything that you say it does. 2 months later, people are saying, you will get my Aetna card from me when you buy my cold dead fingers from that card. And I look personally, you know, as a guy who does this, I don't do this for my living anymore. I'm a retired town manager, but I do this because I love this work, because it kind of keeps me involved in municipal government. And I always love my employees and I like doing good work for them. So I love the fact that I can do this for retirees because they can't duplicate this any other way. And the best part is the pricing. So the slide 19 just shows the side by side, what you had and what you had prior to July 1 and what you have now. And the retirees also have a concierge service. Theirs is called Retiree First. So any problem that any of your retirees have, they're instructed to call Retiree First, and Retiree First will fix it. And we get incredible feedback from retirees in all the communities that are in this plan, saying thank you for Retiree First. They're fantastic, and they really are. 24/7, you can call them. Christmas Eve, you want to call them, they're going to answer the phone. I don't know what poor unfortunate person has to be on the phone, but they still do it. So you remember slide 20. On July 1st, 24, your premium rate was $370.07. Aetna gave you a premium rate on July 1st, 24, of $315. The delta was $55.07. So from December 31st, 2024 to the present, I'm sorry, the savings as of December 31st. So July 1 to December 31st, the town of Templeton has saved $17,000 because you pay 50/50 on the rate. Each Templeton retiree has saved $112.34 or $224 for 68 cents for retired couples. So not only does this plan provide the best benefits in the industry, but you pay a lot less money. The proverbial win-win. So you will, the next slide talks about what's going to happen for the rest of the year. So retiree plan rates renew on January 1, not July 1. Your active plan rates renew on July 1. Your retiree rates renew on January 1 because they're federally regulated. They're on the calendar year. Maya's MedX renewals for January 125 have averaged plus 22%. We've got about 20 clients who are in Maya, and they just got all their MedX 2 renewal rates. And there's a range from 17 to 24, 25. So I just took an average of those and it was 22. Now, I'm not going to say that across the entirety of Maya was 22, might be 19.5, might be 21.2. I don't have access to those records. I only know my 20 clients that are in Maya of the 100 or so that are. But we can tell you that for them it was 22. And more than likely, that reflects what's happening with all of Maya funds. If the town remained with Maya, the January 225 rate would have been $451.49, assuming that 22%. Now you might have got the 17 rate, so it'd be a little less than 451. You might have got the 25, so it'd be a little more. I just computed at 22. The January 1st, 2025 Aetna renewal rate was $354.19. The monthly savings that you had from July 1, 24 to December 31st, 24, which was pretty good, is now widened. You're going to save even more. So for your 52 subscribers, times the now $97.30 per month per subscriber savings, times 6 months, you're going to save another $30,000 on your part of the rate. The employees are going to, I'm sorry, $30,000 is going to be saved. $20,000 of that is the town's. Retiree share will be 10,000 because you got 66. I said 50-50 earlier. I apologize.
Yeah.
Your retiree split is 66-34.
Okay.
So that's what each of you are gonna save. If you skip to slide 22, so you take the savings you've already received, 17,000 as the town. You add the 30,000, your total annual savings with this Aetna plan compared to if you'd stayed with Maya is gonna be $47,540. Those are hard dollars, folks. Those are not presumed savings. That is hard dollars that you budgeted for the Maya rates. Because we were so late in the process, you'd already passed your budget.
Mhm.
So you budgeted for the higher rates. So this is real dollars that's gonna reside in your budget at the end of the year. And by the way, we've calculated it on 52 subscribers. Your subscribers go up and down every month because somebody leaves the plan, somebody comes on the plan. So that's an approximate number, but we will calculate that for you when we come see you next summer. So on the retiree plan, here's what you were told, slide 23. Reduction in the current retiree rates of 15%. You achieved that, and now it's going to be even better for fiscal 25, calendar 25. Access to the Aetna retiree health plan rated #1 by the GSE and largest retiree plan in America. Yes, obviously that's been achieved. Duplication of current plan design benefits achieved. Additional benefits, hearing and vision, and there's actually some other ones achieved. Access to 100% nationwide coverage with every Medicare subscriber. Health provider, we told you that would happen. That in fact has happened. And all this has happened with savings, lower rates. So we're pretty happy. Now, in addition, you have something called OPEB, GASB 45, Government Accounting Standards Board, new standard. You have to accrue your OPEB, your future costs of retiree health insurance liability. You have to compute it. You have to hire an actuary and compute that over usually a 20-year horizon. And it has to get reported when you're selling bonds. Also gets reported typically in your audit. So when you change from the plan you were on to the Aetna plan and your rates drop, there is a dramatic effect on your OPEB liability. So in addition to all these monies that I've told you about, you have saved literally hundreds of thousands on your OPEB. Let me underscore that. Hundreds of thousands, not 10,000, not 50,000. You have saved hundreds because your OPEB liability is in the millions. And you have cut a huge chunk of that off by reducing these rates. Now, when your actuary looks at your plan, they don't say, well, we presume that in 5 years, you'll go to some other plan and you'll pay more. Because nobody rational does that. So they've assumed you are now on a trajectory with your new rates where your rates will go up over time, but they will go up at a much slower rate than had you stayed with Maya, your old insurer. So, I don't have your numbers. I asked Adam, he's gonna chat with the treasurer. They're gonna try to see if they can get your actual numbers, and I'm hoping, I would love to present you with those numbers because I know the scale of things. So to give you an example, so that I can convince you that I really am sincere when I tell you it's in the hundreds of thousands. Plainville went on the Aetna plan in March, April of 23, I believe. They just had their OPEB liability updated. They were selling some bonds. It was 22 million. Post Aetna, it has dropped to 19 million. They saved 2.7 million. The majority of that, according to their actuary, was because of the Aetna plan. They had a couple other things going on, but the majority was that. So look at that math. It's an astronomical number and it's real. It actually happens. And there's a quote from their actuary. The change of the Medicare supplement plan from Blue Cross to Aetna on March 1st, 2024. I'm sorry. I said 24 when Plainville went on the plan. Reduced planning liability by 2.4 million. That's a quote from their actuary. Then I've got the Salisbury experience for you. Salisbury's unfunded OPEB liability on 6/30/23 was 9,959,098. They have theirs updated, issuing debt, and it dropped to 7,559,454. They were saving the 2.6 million. So there was a couple other things that affected that liability. So not 100% of Salisbury's drop was attributable to Aetna. They had a couple other factors. We pulled a couple of their retirees off a plan they shouldn't have been on and got them on something else that was better for them. And those two people coming off dropped their liability along with the reduction in premium. So when I tell you, now you take Salisbury, they are smaller than you are. They have fewer subscribers than you do. So I don't know what your current OPEB liability is, but I can promise you when it's recalculated, the actuary is going to tell you you've saved a massive amount of money. Getting close to the end, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I see you looking at the clock.
Oh,
So, this slide number 26 is a slide that we offered you last year. And you see the title on it. Everything in black is what was on the slide. Everything in red is what has happened. So, you have saved $84,000 year to date. The pharmacy benefit monies, we estimated at 22,000. We think it's going to be more because we estimate very conservatively. So we can give you better news. And we'll have that in just a few weeks. Your pharmacy rebate number, we don't have, like I said, but we'll have that soon. Your NFP separate consulting fee was eliminated, $9,500. And you had the Aetna plan savings of $47,000. Slide 27, Templeton savings year to date. Hard savings, not estimated, not projected, hard savings. 84,000 on the active plan, 9,500 on the fee, 17,000 on the Aetna plan, and the PBM will add to that. We estimated your savings would be about 100,000 for the entire year. And that number is back in the beginning of this. And if you look at the March 27th presentation, you'll see that number is our estimate of your savings right near the end of the presentation. Your total year to date is already 111,000. If you flip to page 28, the total that we estimate for you by June 30th, 6.5 months from now, you'll still have the 84 we project. You'll have the 95, you'll have but your Aetna savings will jump to 47. You'll add PDM savings. You'll add OPEB savings. We estimate your savings by June 30 will be 141. Now, what I will tell you is your claims are not something we can control. We can control that rate. We can control what happens with the fee elimination. We can control the rates for that. There's a lot we can control. We can't control your claims. So your current $84,000 balance is it's the product of your claims being less than the premium you pay. What's going to happen over the course of the next 7 months? I don't know. It may add to that 84. It may erode it. I don't know. What I will absolutely positively tell you is that irrespective of what that number does, and we hope it remains positive, all these other savings are going to be yours. And they're going to offset if you have a deficit on claims, or they're going to add to if you have a positive on claims. You will, by June 30, 2025, have an enormous savings, guaranteed, because OPEB is going to go down. The Aetna's, we know the rates. You're going to have real savings there. Pharmacy benefit is going to produce real benefits for you, and you're going to have a tremendous experience by virtue of this. And the last slide, with all the multicolored things, these are a whole bunch of wellness programs that your employees get by virtue of being a member of Mass Strategic. I hope these things are getting marketed, and I'll work with Adam and Holly. If this isn't being marketed, we've got to get you some more marketing for the employees so they can take advantage of this, because there's all kinds of really fun things. Anorex, you know, they can buy Canadian drugs. You know how much that saves. It saves you a lot of money. It saves the employee a lot of money. They've got Optimed, which is a diabetes management program. They've got Good Health Gateway. They got Retiree First. They got Brightline, which is a service that will help them. They have another medical condition. I don't remember what it is, but they got all these ancillary services. They get it all for free. Not one of those things costs your employee a dime, nor you. So that is my presentation, Mr. Chairman. And the most important thing that I want to leave you with is we made promises to you in March. No, we didn't make promises. We made projections. We made what we thought were prudent and fair projections of what we thought would happen. Representations. And I am very proud of the fact that everything we said would happen has now happened at an even greater number. And this has been a stunning success. And by the way, the Narragansett Regional School joined the same month you did.
Mhm.
And they're enjoying stunning success as well. And I'll be going out there to give a presentation to them probably in January and have a lot of fun giving them numbers. They're much bigger than you are, so they're.
Yeah,
Same.
Kevin, I think they're at over 300,000 in surplus.
What's that, Adam?
I think they're over 300,000 of surplus right now.
Yeah, they are. If you looked at the report, Adam attends the meeting, so he sees those reports. And I think they're running over 300,000 in savings so far. So, happy to answer any questions you might have. But boy, that was fun, because I don't get to do this all the time. I usually go to towns and say, yeah, bad news, your claims are running 300% over what you paid. Oh, God. And then when they're done wanting to lynch me, I leave and go home and have a bourbon. But this is a fun story to tell, and very gratified to be able to tell you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I do want to recognize the fact that I know Jeff knows this because he's actually complimented me on the health insurance, but I do have a good group of people that I work with on the IAC as well as NFP, and they've actually, because we've been competitive and we've been going into joint purchase, or put in the document for the joint purchasing group, as well as exploring and going out to bid, we've been doing very well with the health insurance in my time here. And I do appreciate all those involved with the health insurance process, as well as the fire chief was on, Dave Dickey, as well, because he's on the IAC. We've controlled the budget, and we're seeing a lot of good things. And the budget wouldn't be as good as it is today if it wasn't because we've controlled those costs. And we've had a good team. I'm very fortunate. I know some folks have complained. We've been working diligently to address all those matters. And I see a lot of good things. Health insurance is certainly a topic that we're staying focused on. And I will say all the retirees I've spoken to have been very, very happy with their Aetna plan. Very happy. And Kevin mentioned this evening, and I spoke with the board when you approved the renewals, even with that increase, it was at 370, but it dropped to, I believe it was 354, 356, Kevin. It was an increase, but it's still a drop from where it was at MedX 2. I see good things coming. It's helped with the budget, and I want to thank all those involved with the IAC as well as the select board. And it's a team effort, and we wouldn't have gotten here without everybody being a part. And I think Dave has his hand up, Mr. Chair. So with that, I'll conclude my statement.
By the way, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Adam and Holly, because long before we come to you, we have worked with them for months, and your IAC. And the decision to change to Massachusetts was a controversial one. The IAC was split, and understandably so. It's tough, to leave the so-called gold standard Blue Cross and go somewhere else, based on promises that some guy wearing a tie comes in and tells them, and is this really true? So I understand that there was skepticism, and righteously so. But at the end of the day, Adam and Holly have the wisdom to say, look, we'd like you to present this to the board and tell the story to them. And you folks made the decision in the spring, as you recall. And I think reflecting back on all this, it takes a lot to take the risk that Adam and Holly did in saying to you, we think this is a good idea, when not everybody was on board. And so I would be remiss as a career town administrator if I did not give my colleagues a shout out, because they did, and kudos to them. You see what you've had for rates in the last 5-6 years. That doesn't just happen, trust me. You've had a stunning record of success. We're proud to have been part of that for, I think, 6 years now, but the real work is Adam, Holly, and the IAC. They do a great job for you. So It's been a lot of fun. Thanks.
Dave, Mr. Dickey?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I've unfortunately had to use the new insurance. I'm gonna tell you, from an employee standpoint, at least mine, it went flawlessly. Personally, I was very happy with the change, thought it went well for my family. One thing I can say is that Kevin said there were no issues, that they've all been fixed, and that is actually not true. I have an employee that is still having, issues with, a wife's medication that has not been resolved to this date. So there is something there that still needs to be, fixed in that point. But otherwise, I think a lot of the issues were just startup issues, and I see hopefully good things going down the line.
Dave, write this down. 774. You ready? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sir. 774-836-7950. Oh, good Lord, I see everybody writing it down. That is, of course, my personal phone number, and please call me in the morning, relay the problem, and I promise you we'll fix it. And I'm sorry to hear
Okay,
there is a problem, but we'll fix it.
I'm actually working with that employee tomorrow, so we'll call you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the board?
I will say, the savings is nice, the numbers that we've seen. My biggest appreciation and my biggest concern is always the long-term debt is the OPEB. It's the thing that is hanging high over most, if not all, cities, towns, states. It's almost sunk some. It's a big worry. So that's the thing that I look at, and I'm glad to see, and I hope it stays there. You know, my trajectory here, this one is here, and lowering that actuary, that responsibility is the really big deal for this town.
Well, you will be delighted to hear, Jeff. The National Strategic Health Group has an RFP out right now to hire a new advisor, and we proposed. I don't know, we just want a fair level playing field so we can be heard. But if we are successful, we actually have a plan to introduce the Mass Strategic for OPEB reduction that has never been done before. And we're quite confident that if we get a chance to execute this with them, you're going to see further erosion in your OPEB liability, again, by a very significant margin. Very innovative program. Nobody's done it yet, but we really would like to create this thing.
Like the city of Leominster, they spent like 25 years, I believe, stuffing every extra penny they could
Yeah.
in the thing to get it covered. And it freed up 385,000 or
And
something
yours is in the millions.
that
I
they
know,
could,
it's-
that they could
Yeah.
use for other things.
Don't feel bad. There's only one town in the state that's actually funded their OPEB.
Right, and they borrowed,
Wellesley, and Wellesley did it by getting a special act to allow them to sell a bond, take the bond proceeds, put it in their OPEB fund, and then pay off the bond.
which
And
was,
right after that, I was a town administrator in Easton. I filed the legislation, and the Department of Revenue shot it down and said nobody else is gonna do what Wellesley did. Because they don't want you selling debt to fund OPEB, because here's the reality. The liability is owned by the employees and the town to the extent the future employees enjoy that benefit. When you sell a bond and you fund it, you have just funded the OPEB liability 100% with taxpayer money, and you have forgiven the employee portion. So DOR said, nice job, Wellesley. Nobody else is getting that special act.
Knocked that by
So
one
I
bond.
failed, but my selectmen laughed because they knew it was a fool's mission. I really did.
but to take this plan, and that's why when Adam mentioned it to me, I was like all in. I might not even been on the board at the time, but it doesn't matter. I was all in on that because back in 2012, our town coordinator suggested to the board, and we said we would do it, we'd go out to bid. And Maya came back with a 2% increase. It was the lowest one they ever gave Templeton. The bidding thing didn't materialize, and the next year, it was a 7% increase from Maya. And that's been about the average increase. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that little less, a little more,
Yeah.
but that's why when I talked with Adam about this, he talked to me about this and I was like 100% on. It's like,
We'll stay,
you have to try it
stay
because
tuned,
the
because
result.
if we get that contract, we'll be introducing that. And I would tell you tonight how it works, but it's a proprietary secret I'm gonna be presenting next Thursday when we interview. So I can't tell you tonight and we'll inform next Thursday.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're gonna see something very new that's gonna allow you to start, pre-funding your OPEB liability in a very unique way.
But that would be the best news for every city and town in this state, because again, that's the thing that puts a lot of pressure on towns is that liability.
OPEB liability.
It's a big debt that it's hard to solve because, well, of a lot of things, but.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your presentation and I appreciate the work you put into it, because it's. Again, I appreciate the savings. That's good for the town employees, but the biggest thing is that OPEB coming down. That's by far the most important thing that's happened out of this. So thank you very much.
Gary?
Really briefly, I really wanted to say thank you for your attention to detail when you were presenting the little bit of problems that arise. You were very knowledgeable of individual cases. And then when you gave the chief the number, it would seal the deal for me. I thought you were gonna give him the White House, or is it White House? That no,
Glove.
white glove. Yeah, I thought you were giving him that number. That's why I wrote it down, but
Well,
you just proved
assuming-
my thanks again.
I'm assuming that maybe this has already been reported to White Glove and didn't get resolved. So like I told you, my job is not personally to fix that. My job is to make sure it gets fixed. So as soon as I get all the info from the chief in the morning, I will be on the phone with White Glove, basically threatening their life if they don't get it fixed. So I get a lot of enjoyment out of, making sure this stuff gets fixed, because that's my thing. That's what I offer to you. And I will say, for White Glove, they're great to work with. So I
yep.
don't know what the problem is, but I know we'll get it fixed, because right now we're 79 for 79. And there's no reason number 80 is gonna be a problem.
Well, thank you. Merry Christmas and safe
Yeah, Merry
travel.
Christmas, everyone.
And safe travels home in the rain.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I'm all set.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate it and we look.
Mark loves your copacetic meetings. He's been taking notes stuff. His are very good too.
They're not always this good.
I'm a citizen in Webster and I love my selectmen.
Nice.
They do a great job.
Thank you very much for your presentation, gentlemen. We appreciate it.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Mr. Chair.
There was no, so just to note to the board, there's no action required for item I. It was just a presentation. Ms. Griffiths.
Is there any way we could take a couple of more items out so Gage can go home and Chief Dickey can sign off for the night?
Hang on a second here.
Just two of them.
Hang on,
Steve.
hang on.
Not sure who Robert Elvis is.
So.
I'm with
okay.
Toshiba.
I think that's
Oh,
the
you're with
next
the-
item.
Okay, so
Mr.
you're with
Chair.
the cheating. All right, so let's do this.
I can be very quick.
Okay, so Robert Ellis is here with Toshiba, so let's take item D. That would be next in order anyways.
Yes, sir.
Then let's take item M, which is Chief Dickey. That's the ambulance write-offs. So the problem with Gage is he's an old business. Let's take those first two items and then we'll discuss that as.
To make him sit here all night.
So-
Even though he's like nude.
So D is the next item on the agenda to begin with, which is the Toshiba Copier contract renewal, and Robert Ellis is here from Toshiba to present that, and I will let him go on. And Adam, do you have anything on this, or Holly on this before I let Robert have his moment of glory?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell the board that our contract with Toshiba had expired. And before that, we were trying to get it renewed, and Robert had looked into some different options for us. It's actually a new type of state contract. The old one is no longer active. And I'll let Robert go from here.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Welcome. Go ahead.
hey, how you doing? So I've been with Toshiba 27 years. I'm a VP GM that I run their Westboro and Foxborough locations. So I jumped in on this to help out my government rep. There've been some challenges for everyone on the state contract. So ITC 80 expired this summer, and the state went to renew it, and they took a little bit of time to process any of the vendors. So we had like about a 3-month lag where there was no approved state contracts. So that obviously put a lot of our government specialists in a bind where they could not get new contracts signed, and contracts were expiring. So the new ITE 001 is now in effect for the state contract, which we are approved and writing business on. So I looked at with Veronica, who's your actual sales executive, at the situation that you currently have, which is a group of Toshiba MFPs plus a managed print contract for your HPs and some Lexmarks. Many of the Toshiba devices had very low volume over 3 years. So I've been doing this a while. I thought outside the box, how can we save you money? Because obviously inflation, the new contract is aggressive, but it's not as aggressive as the last go, partially because of lease rates are higher than they were it was 5 years ago, and the cost of goods is higher. So I'll show you my screen because I think I have a turnkey solution for you. Let's see, I'm
not sure you have. Did you were you given rights to?
No, let's disable screen sharing.
We don't. That's nothing. That's
right,
nothing
so-
unusual. You weren't. It wasn't requested, so you weren't given it.
All right. Well, I'll verbally walk you through. So I'm not going to be seeing anybody, but I will. I'll talk you through it. So the contract that just expired, you were paying $1,464.76 per month.
Oh.
You had what I would call 4 3518 mid-end black and white devices. You had one 4515 AC, which would be a mid-end color device. You had 2 Lexmark desktop black and white printers, and then 6 eStudio 330 AC. They're desktop color A4, so they won't do the 11x17. So if you kind of walk up to an MFP versus a printer, the format, the size of them are different. So the 330s are that more narrow type device, and then we manage your HP printers. So my proposed new plan would be another 3-year plan under the ITE 001 contract. It would drop your price down to $952. So if I'm doing the math, over $500 a month savings. And even with that, there are some upgrades, and then I'll talk you through everything. But so the new devices that would go on that contract would be a 3528A at the Treasure Collection. We added a LCT, which goes in the bottom. So right now you have 2 paper trays. You'd get a 3rd paper tray that's additional. The rest of the features will be the exact same. So that's a Toshiba device that is 1 generation newer, but turnkey, because the next generation Toshibas are really the same exact product, just updated firmware, updated RAM, updated processing units, a little bit bigger of a touchscreen display. But literally, if you were to swap out this new generation from the last generation at night, no one would know that you ever changed them out. So that one, apples to apples. The development services, I think Holly had mentioned, is it that one or no? Upfire is the one. So the development services has the smaller product. No, that's the fire department. So the development services currently only has black and white, and Holly had mentioned that they had been asking for a color device. So that $952, even though it's less money, that includes development services to get a color device. They have a 3518 now. This would be a 3525, which is just really the color unit. Similar, and that would have that extra paper tray in the bottom. The other brand new one would be the the select board office, which they have a 4515, they would just get a 4525. They would get the extra paper tray on the bottom, same exact accessories. They have stapling, hole punch, fax board. So it's all apples to apples. And then the fire department currently has the 330 AC, but they're actually doing some pretty decent volume on it, which is usually when we look at other models. So we put in for a 3525 AC on that one, which is again the 11x17 ability to print opposed to the 330, but it'll look much more robust for the fire department. And then yeah, everything else continues on. So the 23518s, the 5 330 ACs, the 2 Lexmark XM 3250s that are in place, they would stay in place for another 3 years. We would continue to service those under the ITE contract. So basically you're keeping, the reason why there's savings and not it going up is you're keeping those 2 3518s, the 5 330 ACs and the 2 Lexmark XM 3250s. And we're just rolling those into the new contract. So
Now, Rob, you're on state bid, right?
what was that?
You're on state bid? Sorry,
We're on
Mr. Chair, if I
IT.
can't speak
What was that?
here.
I can hear you.
No, I need to get permission from the chair to speak.
Adam, go ahead.
So you're on state bid, right?
We're on the state contract, correct?
Okay, so Holly, could you explain this to the board? Because Rob, you're doing a great job. You're very technical, but like I think Holly needs to be able to explain this better to the board because I'm struggling to follow you myself. I see it's a pretty good deal. I'm not I'm not against what you're saying. But Holly, could you come in from the IT side of the house and kind of speak so the board can follow along? I was listening to Rob and he's very technical. He does a great job with that. I'm not saying that, but if you're not an IT person, you can't follow along.
Mr. Chair.
Adam, in our packet, everything's in our packet well written out. Like on page 3, it has the 5 master roles, all equipment models. It has everything listed according to the categories he was saying. And you can follow along with him on his on everything. But I do want to hear what Holly has to say, but I just want to say he presented well and his report is thoughtful and easy to understand in our packets. Thank you.
Oh yeah, he's very technical. I just want Holly to understand because I let Holly deal with the IT side of the house within the town. So, Holly, come on, update the board, please.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think what Adam means is a simpler layman's term. And like Robert has all that tech knowledge. So so basically we're getting 4 new printers that will upgrade the current ones that are printing a lot. And then the other printers will stay the same. We'll just continue using those. And this contract will cover anything that needs to be repaired or replaced if it gets to that point. All the ink is covered. So we have the same services that we have now with the current contract, but we're going to save $500 a month, which is going to amount to a little over $6,000 a year that I can maybe put towards the new computer program that we have. Does anyone have any questions, or is that understandable?
Makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
That's fine.
And just let her, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Before Dave Dickey's got his hand. I'm gonna have him go, and then Dave, you what's up?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, through you, either Holly or Robert, the new printer for the fire station, does it have the fax capability in it?
Yes, yeah. Everything that you currently have in your system. So you would be getting probably the biggest upgrade out of the group. So it's a bigger system. We can do 11x17. Actually, I mean, Toshiba's can do banners. I don't know if towns usually do them, but we do 12x17 banners on Aqua's paper, which is like a smudge-proof, waterproof paper that you can buy from us. But other than that, it's going to be a little bit more reliable, Dave. on the scope. It can handle higher volume, and the fire station we noticed did out of the fleet, top 3, top 4 volume wise, and you have a system that wouldn't last another 3 years. So all the ones we recommended to go back in, we feel great about servicing them. So we make the analytical decision because we don't want to have products out there that are going to break down, because then on a frequent basis, because that's going to cost us a lot of money and man hours to keep up and running. So we try to run that fine line of having the right products and the right accounts. That has to do with volume and end user interface.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Is your
you.
question, Dave? Yep. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Just
Sarah?
one quick clarification. So the 952 is going to take us from 2025 to 2028.
That's what I see. Please.
Yep,
Term for
3 years,
30.
3-year contract. Once we get it up and running, all the Toshibas run on a CPC program, and then the Lexmarks and the HPs we have on a flat rate program. So similar to what you have right now.
Very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? This time I'd entertain a motion to approve the Toshiba contract as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Do have a motion duly second to approve the Toshiba contract as presented. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none on the motion, how do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Griffiths? And I vote yes as well. That vote is 3 yes, 0 no, and 0 abstaining at 8:30 p.m. Thank you, Robert. We appreciate it.
Nice meeting y'all.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Merry
evening.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you guys too.
Using my discretion as the chair, we're going to take item M out of order, action annual ambulance write-offs. We have in your packet a letter from the chief of the fire department chief, Mr. Dickey. Per our ambulance billing policy, is my recommendation to write off the amount of $45,212.21. This amount covers the 27 accounts that the billable company deems uncollectible. Mr. Dickey, do you have anything else you would like to offer for this particular item?
Well, what I can tell you, it's quite a bit higher than last year. And that, when I saw that, I talked to the billing company, and it comes down to the point that they had still been working on a lot of stuff, and these just came up to be uncollectible this year instead of last year. So they did everything they could to collect through mistakes and everything, and accounts that just weren't able to get anything, and this is what it comes down to catch us up to date.
Budget-wise, do you have any concerns as a result of this?
Not at all. No, it's money we're never gonna see.
Any questions from the board on this?
Well said. Thank you.
In that case, I will entertain a motion to write off the $45,212.21 of ambulance receipts as presented. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion to write off ambulance receipts in the amount of say it again. Of $45,212.21 as presented by the fire chief. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none on the motion, how do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That vote is 3 yes, 0 no, and 0 abstaining at 8:33 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dickey. I normally would
Good
not do.
evening, Chief.
I normally would not do this. Because normally we have enough people in the room where somebody can walk up and go to the restroom and then come back and we don't lose quorum. But tonight, because we don't, I am going to move for a 5-minute recess at this point and then return to regular business we'd be on item E at that point.
Sounds reasonable. I thought you were going to let Gage go first, then.
I probably will do that, but I need to do I need to do this first
Okay.
personally. So I motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Matt, if I can, hold on a second.
Yes, Adam.
I think the board could hear what they're saying. They just can't take any action until you're back in the room.
I don't
Or
want
unless you wanted to hear what they have to say.
I don't
get
want to take any
what you're saying.
chances, Adam.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted
Yeah.
to throw that out there.
I just don't want to take any chances, Adam.
No, that's fine. Okay.
So I have a motion and a second. Second.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, how do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes,
Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That's 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining for a 5-minute recess at 8:34 PM.
Are you gonna frame these on the wall?
Back, thank you, TCTV. And we thank the public for the indulgence of that break. Like I said, normally I wouldn't have to do this, but yeah, that little quorum thing tends to get tricky. If there's no objection from the board, I am going to use my discretion as the chair to take item 7B of old business at this time, and then we'll return to the regular order. Hearing no objection, Mr. Pacier,
Okay.
please come to the microphone and let's talk about action re Scout Hall security cameras and key card system by Cable Committee Chair Gage Pacier.
Oh, and real quick, before we begin, if I may,
Of course.
I owe Holly an apology in my, I guess it was my implication. I didn't directly say it, but in my implication, I stated that the information was missing, but I had never submitted it. And so, Holly, thank you so much for the grace in which you responded, because you had every opportunity to give me a hard time, and I would have accepted that, but you didn't. So
Gage,
thank-
what about me? What's this
You
all
already
about?
know,
Holly gets
Adam.
all this?
You already know. But yes, you
That's
too,
why you
Adam.
make the
Thank you.
big bucks.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks.
So thank you both, and especially Holly, because I interfaced with you directly and you had to respond directly. So thank you.
Thank
And
you. I
I-
appreciate that.
To the board members, item 7B in your packet is the Scout Hall security system proposal, which Mr. Pacier, I believe, is about to walk us through very briefly.
Yes, so in wiring up the Scout Hall, locations were marked out for security cameras. And so now I'd like to take action on that and provide my knowledge and my labor as a volunteer in order to secure Scout Hall. What is also included was a suggestion that we use the same system that I recommended for security cameras to also pilot a key card system. So it is using the same company. This is just for the 2 exterior doors within Scout Hall. I don't know if I already said this already, but the management software and hardware are already in place. This is just the purchase of the cameras, the junction boxes, and the key card access, as well as the option for a uninterrupted power supply. In the event of a power outage, normally these things fail to open, meaning someone can just walk in. With a backup, the doors remain locked, but still respond to attempts to open them, by valid personnel.
The reason this is before the board is that per the Scout Hall operating procedures, any modifications to that building need to come to the board. So that's the reason it's here. I'll at this point, if the board has any questions or concerns for Mr. Pacier, please be my guest.
I know, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So I know TCTV's covering the cost, in under dome cameras, Gabe, you mentioned that these are the cheaper wide angle lens that are still rated for infrared. Is there that big of a price difference? And are you're happy with the performance of the ones that you're purchasing? Even though I know TCTV's paying, so it's a little.
Yeah, the budget's a little
tricky.
small on that front, but I am still happy with the performance of them. All of them are good cameras that provide a lot of features. I opted for this because I feel that the cameras are still going to have the perspective and vision and clarity that is needed to provide adequate security. The more feature-rich ones, the ones that have higher resolution, are only, off the top of my head, I don't have it in front of me. I do apologize.
No worries.
I believe they're between $200 and $300 more a piece. We still have the infrastructure for installing those, but the storage requirements for recordings is greater. And so the amount of time that we could, the amount of video we could store would be significantly less. And we're talking the difference between the technical definition of high definition, which is the 720p, which is actually what TCTV broadcasts at, and then 4K, and then there's even a really fancy one that does 8K, but I'm not interested in counting the nose hairs of people who walk in the building. So, but the option's there. So if a situation comes where we want to expand what these cameras are capable of, there are tiers that we can go up to. ones where we can install them very high up, but still get the clarity that we need in order to see what's happening. But for the purposes where the boxes are currently, I felt that these were more than adequate for the job.
And the life expectancy is there too, right?
Yes, exactly. These are not disposable by any means. And they are rated both to be indoors and outdoors. So regardless of where they're installed, they will manage the conditions appropriately.
Fantastic.
Anything else, sir?
Nope.
Ben, anything?
No, I'm fine with this. Why we don't. Later date, I believe we should expand this type of system on all town buildings. This makes sense.
And on that note, thank you.
Beat 'em
Another-
up.
I'll write the check later this time. The reason I picked this software suite is because it is readily expandable, not only to separate locations that are on different networks, but with options where the networks are more interconnected, we can still tie them together. And lastly, I also picked this system because it's a little more user-friendly than some of the more advanced enterprise style systems where you kind of need 3 people in a data center in order to manage them appropriately. In this case, 1 to 3 devices can do the job and do it more than adequately and legally, etc.
Okay.
So thank
Beautiful.
you, Jeff.
Any questions from the board further? At this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the Scout Hall security system proposed, but actually, before we do that, Mr. Castle, the director of TCTV, has come on the Zoom. I just wanted to let him have an opportunity if he had anything he wanted to add to the conversation. Steve?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I fully support this, and I think it would be great to have security at Scout Hall for everyone's protection there. So thank you for taking this up.
Okay.
So if I can, Mr. Chair, I just.
Go ahead, Adam.
A quick thing, Steve, how much do you have in the budget for this? Just, I don't have it in front of me. Do you happen to recall?
I
what you
think
committed?
Gage's price tag was about 2,000.
You got enough in the budget for that?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay.
Yeah. From the paperwork that Mr. Pacier has provided to us this evening, it looks like his total is $2,047 to be used for this. So as long as it's in the budget, I mean, it's very clear in this that it's coming from TCTV's budget, so. Okay. Having said that, if there's no more discussion at this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the Scout Hall security system proposal and for TCTV to work with the DPS, Department of Public Services, Bob Sosik's department, for any installation as needed.
So moved.
Motion there. Have a second there. Yeah, when you're in stereo, it's fun, you know that. Motion by Ms. Griffiths, second by Mr. Bennett to accept the Scout Hall security system proposal as presented and for TCTV to work with DPS for installation as necessary. Is there any discussion? Hearing none on said motion, Mr. Bennett, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That is a 3-0-0 at 8:47 p.m. Mr. Pacier, have fun.
Thank you so much and be safe tonight.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. All right, we should be able to motor now. I am hopefully done rearranging this agenda for Kelsey's sake.
Mr. Chair, if we can't.
We can discuss where we moved everything later. Hang on, go ahead, Adam.
No, but I was just gonna say, if we could take up the ARPA status update really quick, that your item. I don't believe there's anybody else here this evening. Because it kind of segues into the whole TCTV thing.
What is that?
Is there any objection for me taking item 7A of old business, the ARPA status update now and then?
I'm
with
not
the
going
kitchen-
anywhere.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're done.
So hang on.
With the kitchen being funded too, because Steve's still on for this item.
Okay.
Is Dave still here? Did his item?
Gage?
Gage just left.
No, Dave. Dave, what do you?
I'm
Dave
still
Dickey is still
here.
here. Dave's still
What
here.
is he?
I have comments to make on liquor licenses as well.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know why you were still here. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, you're good.
Okay.
You're fine, Gage, don't worry about it. If there is no objection, I will use my authority as the chair to take item 7A out of order, and
No objection from
I
me.
hear no objection. All right, go ahead. ARPA status update. Yeah. You did provide the document again.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is your
Go ahead,
item.
Adam.
This is your item you presented to the select board. This is our last opportunity to make any adjustments before the end of December.
Yep.
I will say, I think Grace has committed, there were some overflow applications. The board committed, the 8,500. We have about 500 there, to commit before the end of December. Also with the, kitchen project that was approved, I did talk with Jackie Prime, and she won't need the whole 37,300 that was appropriated because they're going to come in with a budget request for the kitchen once it's done. As I noted to the board, we did sign the contract with the kitchen. Hold on here, and we still have some remaining funds with the ARPA administration. So my thought process here, as long as we leave about, I did just talk with Jackie Prime, if we leave about 7,000 for the senior services meals, we should be okay. Because they're getting a kitchen and they'll be able to prepare meals there. At this point, as capital recommended, TCTV can adjust, because they're going to be very slim pickings come fiscal year 26 for their capital. So what I'm suggesting is any leftover funds that the select board designate the town administrator to delegate those funds to TCTV capital.
So you're saying that anything unexpended in our current distribution to authorize you to move it to TCTV, whatever that number ends up being.
Capital.
TCTV capital.
Correct, because right now I'm working with the light and water department on a pilot.
Yep.
For capital for TCTV. I sent an email to John Driscoll.
Okay.
And there's the Light and Water Commission still reviewing that.
Yep.
Where Steve will have to present to Light and Water Commission for any capital items. But I do want to get us ahead of the curve. As I mentioned before, I'm trying to do the best I can to support our enterprise funds. And I did have a conversation with Jackie Prime. Steve Castle, I think, is aware of where we're at. I know he has a higher request than that, but I think with the board supporting this, we get us in a good predicament for fiscal year 26. It's not gonna be ideal, but it'll get them through fiscal year 26. Steve, if I may, through the chair, delegate this to you. Do you have any problems with the board delegating this to me to support your capital to delegate to for the end of fiscal year? Because you're pretty good at committing funds. I got to give you credit for that.
Well, thanks, Adam. I have no problem with this, and I would welcome it. And what we can do is purchase some capital items and relieve the pressure on trying to fund that for FY26, at least to that amount. So,
Adam, so my question to you, Adam, is, what is the number that the estimated number what you think right now would be moving over to TCTV? Because they have 35,000 in their line right now. What is the estimated additional that would be moving?
So what I would do is, after talking with Jackie Prime, I would commit about 7,000 to senior services meals and delegate the rest to the town administrator. Because remember, we have undesignated of 6,000. As I mentioned, we have I know we're getting close to the end here, so I'm trying to like give the board as much information as possible. Then we also have community micro grants. Grace committed another 8,000 for overflow applications. So we still have about 5,000 there. I think Terry's on that committee. Terry,
500, Adam. 500.
500 left there. Okay. And then we also have under our ARPA administration, roughly, I don't know, 48, 50, or what was that, 58, 50 left. So what I plan to do, anything left that's uncommitted or that hasn't committed, because I already have the accountant sent an email out today, or excuse me, the other day, making sure we have contracts in hand. So anything not committed will go to TCTV.
Okay.
It's legal. Sorry.
If the board delegates delegates it to me, yes, because the board.
Through the,
authorizes the
Mr. Chair,
expenditure.
through the ARPA rules. We're following ARPA procedure?
I don't see,
I don't see why we wouldn't
I
be.
don't see why we wouldn't be. Yeah, no, we'd be moving funds that we'd previously designated to a different account and letting them use it because we found out that we just don't need it where we have it. So I
And we
mean,
did do that for the micro grants.
we did do
so-
that for micro
Okay.
grants. Yes,
I
exactly.
just want to
We
make
moved-
sure we're not in trouble.
No, we shouldn't be. We moved money from, I forget which one it was to micro grants. It was, I think some from ARPA administration and
Yeah, and
something
a
else.
couple others that we weren't gonna,
Right,
they weren't gonna use it all.
right. And so we moved it to the micro grants and.
Rather than lose it.
Right, and that's exactly what we're gonna be doing right now. We're just gonna be designating we just designate Adam to make the final moves as far as the accounts goes if necessary, so.
Right.
And then
Then-
Steve would then have to work
the
to
funds.
allocate.
He's good. He's really good at that, though. I'll give him credit. So what I will say is I could give an update to the board come January. Matt, if you want me to keep this on the agenda, that way I could talk with Steve, make sure he gets all the funds committed, and then give an update to the board come January on all the funds that are committed and everything. The accountant's working on this, make sure we have contracts in hand. And I specifically said that, and also to make sure that we have all the department, but the auditors want, the accountant's working on that as well. Melanie's been doing a fabulous job. It's great to work with her. And I'm sure Steve could get all these funds committed. Steve, do you think you could get all this done?
Yes, I mean, we can purchase capital items. I don't know if we have to do anything by contract, so,
Or order forms, as long as we have it
Yeah.
committed. Yes.
yeah. Absolutely.
And the capital improvements committee just made their recommendations, so as long as they're going by what the committee recommended, I mean, that's, so.
Well, Matt, that was my contention. The capital can't recommend, well, they could recommend.
They're recommending.
The select board is the ultimate authority.
Right.
And the
'Cause-
select board control the budget. I
Right,
provide the budget to you, but at the end of the day, you all decide it.
Right, but
You have
understand
that
something.
authority. No, sorry,
Capital-
I just got really bent up about that because I'm like, why is capital making recommendations? This is a select board thing.
But understand something, capital expenditures need to go in front of the capital improvements committee. So the stuff
Correct.
that's on their recommendation report has been there, which means those are good. I think is the point.
Well, yeah, and at the end of the day, I know you proposed a motion at the town meeting, and quite frankly, there was an amendment. It failed. It failed with the over 300 people there. Your motion prevailed, but the fact is, if they're committing funds to an actual account, and town meeting does something different, it could put us into an issue where, you know what I'm saying? Like your motion prevailed at town meeting, but it should have not. It could have been different, and that's what I was just trying to get at with the capital report earlier on.
100%. Any discussion from the board?
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to designate Adam Lamontagne as the town administrator to reallocate unused ARPA funds to TCTV as needed.
So moved.
So seconded.
I have a motion by Mr. Bennett and a second by Ms. Griffiths to authorize the town administrator, Adam Lamontagne, to redistribute ARPA funds as necessary and redistribute them to TCTV. Is there any discussion? Hearing none on the motion, how do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. They vote is 3 yes, 0 no, and 0 abstaining at 8:57 PM.
Thank you for your help and happy holidays.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Steve.
Steve.
No, that's Merry Christmas and Happy Easter.
We had a Merry Thanksgiving on TCTV News.
There you go. I knew you were going there.
And the tree is up.
I'm old fashioned.
I know. All right. Now I promise I'm not rearranging the agenda anymore.
Where are we?
We're done. We are going back to new business. Item E, action Muralidhar Corporation, DBA Templeton Spirit, change of Sunday hours. Holly, you're the ABC and the liquor license guru. Speak to us, please.
All right, so he just requested that they change their hours, which are currently on Sunday, 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. And they'd like to change them to open earlier, but they would close earlier as well. So it'd be opening at 10 a.m., closing at 11 p.m. on Sundays.
Any concerns?
No, and this is the earliest that they legally can open in Massachusetts on Sundays. And the process with the ABCC on this one is the local licensing authority, select board votes on it, and we just notify them of the change.
Okay. Dave, I know you were on for licensing questions. Is this one of them?
Your licenses.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing no questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion to approve the change of Sunday hours for Muralidhar Corporation, DBA Templeton Spirit as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion.
So second.
I have a second. Moved by Mr. Bennett, seconded by Ms. Griffiths to approve the change of Sunday hours for Muralidhar Corporation, DBA Templeton Spirit as presented. Is there any discussion?
I'm kindly requesting you to change of liquor license hours to 10 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Yep.
10 a.m. in the morning to 11 p.m. and it's an hour earlier and it's closing an hour earlier.
Closing 3 hours earlier. They were open till 2 a.m.
Okay.
Did I get that right, Holly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none on the motion to approve the change of Sunday hours for Muralidhar Corporation, DBA Templeton Spirit as presented. How do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That vote is 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 9 o'clock. Item 6F. Action re Muralidhar Corporation, DBA Templeton Spirit, change of DBA. Holly, I guess you're up again, right?
Yep. On this one, some of the liquor licensees are not quite clear on this. We had this issue with Templeton Cafe as well. They think that they can change the DBA and just do it, but it has to go through the ABCC because they're very specific about how it's named on the license. So I noticed when he put his renewal papers in that it said Templeton Wine and Spirit. So I let him know, if you changed it, we have to do this.
Yep.
So it's just a procedure where the board votes on it and it does go to the ABCC for approval. And then once we get that back, we would just update the license. It's just a simple change and there's no public hearing or anything needed for it.
Any concerns?
Nope.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the change of DBA from Muralidhar Corporation, DBA Templeton Spirit as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second to approve the change of DBA from Muralidhar Corporation, DBA Templeton Spirit as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none on the motion, how do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That is 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 9:02 p.m. Okay, item 6G, action re ABCC seasonal population increased estimation form. Holly, I believe you're up again.
Yep. So this is their annual form they've been sending out for probably about 4 or 5 years now. They just like to know whether we're going to have a lot more people in the summer, and with Templeton Fish and other areas, we do have a little bit of an increase. I always get this number from the town clerk, what her estimate would be. And so the number on the form is what she gave me.
Okay.
So.
Any question? Any questions from the board?
All set. Thank you now, Mr. Chair.
Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the seasonal population increase estimation form as presented.
Second, so moved.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Griffiths and a second by Mr. Bennett to approve the ABCC seasonal population increase estimation form as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none on the motion, how do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That's 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 9:03 p.m. Now we're moving. All right. Action 3, item 6H, annual license renewals, liquor, common victualler, automatic amusement, live entertainment, class 2 and 3. As listed, there is an extensive list in your packet of what licenses are being renewed by who and all that sort of thing. Now I believe Mr. Dickey's here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Right ahead, sir.
The building commissioner and myself did our annual safety inspections of all the liquor license that are getting renewed. And there is one Templeton Cafe that has not finished the process yet. They still owe me paperwork. And I am asking that you vote for Templeton Cafe not to approve their license until they finish getting their required documentation to me. All the rest are fine. I have no troubles with them.
Well, you would be asking.
I'm gonna request the opposite, and this is why. When I bring the licenses to the board every year, I make sure they all have their categories checked off. I check with Rhonda in the building department that works with Chief Dickey and the inspector and the building inspector. And I always ask the board to vote these pending that everything is in order, and trusting me that I will not release these licenses until that time. The reason I do that is because in years prior, we would hold these out and not vote on them. And then it comes January 1st and these businesses might have got in just before the new year, but we can't have another meeting until January to get them voted. So it just seems prudent to get them all voted this way.
If I can, I think Dave's got something to say.
Yeah,
So hang on. Thank you, Holly. Dave, you may go next, please.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
that's basically what I was hoping to accomplish.
Okay.
That's exactly what I want to make sure they do not get their license until they get their paperwork finished.
And Holly has basically confirmed that they will not get their license until their paperwork is finished as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So in that case, I think we're good there. Is there any discussion on the annual license or permit renewals from the board?
I really don't want to sign all these tonight, so I don't want to do this.
Fine, fella.
Yeah, come on.
Kelsey's got the folder right over there.
To Holly's point, though,
Yeah.
if we don't vote on these and then he turns his paperwork in like on Monday,
Mhm.
we either have to have.
We gotta have an emergency to do it, yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
you know. come
Right.
January. So,
Mr. Chair, before you
course,
vote, could I just put in a request for Valley View Farms license? They just got their license the end of November.
Yep.
And paid the full fee.
Yep.
And they're actually not even able to use it yet because their liquor hasn't even been issued, able to
Yep.
buy it. So could we vote to waive the fee for just Valley View for the 2025 license renewal?
Is this just the liquor? That's the only one they have, I think.
No, they have
I only see them with liquor license.
Okay, no, you're right. There it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
just
I only
for
see
that
them with a liquor license.
Yep.
Is there any objection?
No.
No. Okay. Is there any other discussion on the annual license and permit renewals?
I just have
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Okay, hang on. So, Adam, what's your thing again, may I ask?
If you say any other comments, it's a comment.
Okay, Adam first, and then we'll come to you.
Thank you.
Adam,
So the justification behind the Holly is, so you're saying they paid the full fees in this
Like
current
last week,
year?
basically.
No, I just want the public to know why Holly's even suggesting that.
Right.
Basically,
Holly, if
they
you could
just
explain
got-
that a little further for the public to know.
Holly?
They just got their new license for wine and malt package store.
Yeah.
At the end of November.
Right.
And haven't even been able to use it yet. And they paid the full fee for the whole year because that's
Okay.
just how it works.
The whole
they already paid the
2024
fee.
year, yeah.
Right. So it just seems, too much to charge them a second time within a month.
No, I just wanted the board to so they know and the public knows.
Yep.
So thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Adam. Is there any other questions, comments, or concerns on the annual license and permit renewals? Go ahead, Terry.
So These are my sentiments. Just a reminder to the businesses that it's the holiday season, and whether it's depression or celebration, some people need to be monitored more closely. I'd also like to remind them that the board approves these licenses in good faith and trust that they will obey the laws and care for their patrons or keep their patrons safe. This board, along with the police chief, have options should trust be broken. Have a safe and prosperous holiday season.
Thank you, Terry. And I think that's a great sentiment that we want all of our businesses to be good corporate citizens is really the biggest sentiment there.
Keep people
Yeah.
safe. That's our
exactly.
job.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, Adam.
So Terry sent me an email earlier today, and what I suggest is pulling out Thirsty Turtle for 3 months renewal and then approving the rest as is to the board.
So you're saying pull Thirsty Turtle out,
Correct.
approve the rest for a year, and then approve Thirsty Turtle until 31 March, basically.
Well, there's some concerns by a board member that were raised to me, and when a board member raises concerns to me, I take them seriously. You can pull it out and renew it for 3 months. And at that time, we'll work with town council and they can report to the board. But I in due diligence to each board member, when concerns are raised to me, I don't think we should not renew the license. But I do think it should be looked at further. And Terry, I'm not sure if you want to say anything further, but what I would suggest is renewing all the licenses and having.
So we did hear back from, Holly did get back to me, and I talked to the chief and she talked to the chief. And Holly, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. I'm not quite sure if Adam saw the email that came back from town council.
I did. I do think the board could do it for 3 months.
Okay, I'll take your advice, Adam.
No, I would seriously recommend that.
Okay.
If you have concerns, do it for 3 months. I know Holly does a great job with the licenses. I'm not trying to in any way say she does her work.
I don't think you read town council's opinion properly, if that's what you're recommending.
All right. That's where the I think we need to talk. I think we need to take it offline. I think
Yeah.
we should go with what we
agree.
have right now. And for the sake
No,
of,
I would suggest 3 months. You're still renewing the license.
Adam, let's let Terry finish, please.
so are you saying you read Holly's response? Adam,
I have, and
and town council's response?
can
I just
have
want to make sure we're
attorney-
following the letter of the law.
you control the license. At the end of the day, the select board controls the license. You're still renewing it.
Mhm.
As long as there's no hardship, you're good. I take every member's concern seriously. And
All
I'm
right.
suggesting to the board, my advice is you renew with that one for 3 months and renew all the others the way you usually do.
Right now, I have no reason to vote that way, because I haven't seen anything.
Neither have I.
I haven't seen anything
Yep.
to
Warrant it.
And
allow for holding back a liquor license.
Yeah, and
And-
that's why it's
We
not
haven't had
holding
any
it back.
hearing
It's
on it
just
or
3
anything.
months.
Yeah.
No, you're not holding it back, Jeff. You're not holding it back.
That's why I wrote this.
For what
Yeah,
reason?
okay, hang on. Whoa, hang on, please. Wait a minute. Okay. Adam, please answer Jeff's question.
For what
No, I get where Jeff's coming from. So you have 3 months to review what the concern is with that board member.
Yep.
You're not being adverse to the implications, if you will. But I mean, if you don't feel comfortable with that, it's up to the board. I don't want to, I'm just trying to throw that out there. I received some concerns from a board member. If the board feels comfortable doing a year, then you could do a year. I mean, and you got Holly here. She does a great job with the licenses. I'm just throwing it out there based on the concerns I received.
Thank you,
So
Adam. I
it's-
appreciate the respect.
No, I looked into it, Terry, but it's really up to the board and you and how you feel. You're the licensing authority, not me. I'm just saying it's really the board's decision.
All right,
So based on the correspondence that I received, I'm just going to say renew it as it is, and then if anything
your
else.
statement will apply.
Yeah,
and
my statement will apply, and then if anything happens, then
We have other.
that we have cause, I'm just
We have
saying,
other
we
actions that
have
we can
other
take.
actions that we can take in the future. So,
In that case, is there any other discussion on the annual license and permit renewals? And I think that the consensus is we're going to renew them as presented.
except for Matt, Leclerc.
Except for, yeah, and I'm gonna make the motion, so when I make it, I'll make sure that that's included,
Okay,
okay? Any other discussion? Hearing none, I move to approve the licenses as presented and listed below. Liquor licenses, American Legion, Baldwinville Station, Candelight Incorporated, Crows on the Common, Long Long Noodles, Otter River Hotel LLC, Otter River Sportsmans Club, Patriots Package, Reno's Pizzeria, Royalston Fish and Game, Templeton Cafe, Templeton Fish and Game, Templeton Spirit, Templewood Golf, Thirsty Turtle, Valley View Farm, Village Liquor and Mini Mart. Common victualler licenses, American Legion, Baldwinville Station, Candlelight Incorporated, Crow Hill Motorsports, Cumberland Farms East Templeton, Dunkin' Donuts Baldwinville, Dunkin' Donuts East Templeton, Great Wall Chinese Takeout, Kitchen Garden, Crows on the Common, Long Long Noodles, Lee's Hot Dog Stand, Otter River Hotel LLC, Otter River Sportsman's Club, Patriots Roast Beef and Grill, Reno's Pizzeria Incorporated, Royalston Fish and Game, Templeton Cafe, Templeton Fish and Game, Templewood Golf, Templeton Spirit, Thirsty Turtle, Village Pizza, Automatic Amusement Licenses, American Legion, Candlelight Incorporated, Otter River Hotel LLC, Otter River Sportsman's Club, Royalston Fish and Game, Templeton Fish and Game, Thirsty Turtle, Live Entertainment Licenses, American Legion, Candlelight Incorporated, Crows on the Common, Long Long Noodles, Otter River Hotel LLC, Otter River Sportsman's Club, Royalston Fish and Game, Templeton Cafe, Templeton Fish and Game, Thirsty Turtle, Sunday Annual Live Entertainment License, Templeton Fish and Game, Class 2 Auto Licenses, Bill's Used Cars Incorporated, Car Works, Chesterfield Motors, COS Garage, Fletcher Equipment Company, Franklin Park Enterprises, Insurance Auto Auctions, Lang's Vintage Automobiles, Randy's Automotive Sales, Scratch and Dent Auto Body and Sales, Scott's Garage, Wilson Bus Sales, Village Carriage Shop. Class 3 Auto Licenses, Cosentino Salvage, Franklin Park Enterprises, USA Auto Recycling Incorporated, Templeton Auto Parts, Recreation Track Permit, Crow Hill Motorsports, and to waive the liquor licensing fee for Valley View Farm. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion, myself, seconded by Mr. Bennett, to approve the liquor license as presented and just listed. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could I just ask you to add to that motion pending all requirements and fees have been met?
I certainly can. I will accept that as a friendly amendment. Is there anything from the seconder? There is, okay, the seconder also accepts that, so that is accepted by acclamation. On the motion to approve the licenses as presented and amended, is there any discussion? Hearing none. On the motion to approve the licenses as presented, to waive the liquor license fee for Valley View Farm, and to issue the licenses pending any requirements by the town via whatever that may be. How do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That is 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 9:17 p.m. All right. That was the worst one. Okay, we've already taken care of I. We are on to item new business 6J. Action Re Senior Center donation. You have in your packets a note from Jackie Prime, Community Services Director. Please consider a vote to accept the following donation to the Senior Center from Janice and Gary Lawton in the amount of $50. I'll accept the motion to accept the Senior Center donation at this time.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the Senior Center donation as presented. Is there any discussion? The only note that I will make is, and I'm sure our colleague, Mr. Toth, would say this if he were here, is that it takes a village, and we have an excellent village here in Templeton. So thank you to Janice and Gary Lawton for their donation.
Well,
Is there any Is there any discussion?
Mr.
Hearing none
Chair,
on the motion, huh? Hang
if
on,
I
Adam.
may, I think we're gonna be getting the senior center kitchen donation by the next meeting or the following meeting. I just wanted the board to be aware of that, so.
Eh, Don't speculate, but we hope it comes.
Well, I received a phone call, so we'll see. I mean, the check, supposedly they have a check.
Like I said, we hope it
The
comes.
Friends of Templeton Elders.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion to accept the senior center donation as presented. How do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
How do you vote, Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. It's a 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 9:19 PM. Action town website financial transparency link. This is item K.
Can I take this one? Really quick?
Yes, you may, Mr. Lamontagne.
No, I was just gonna have Holly update it. But then she brought to my attention that when we first did this, it was a ClearGov vote. And geez, I think it was a few years ago. It was a ClearGov vote. I don't know if it was in the minutes or whatever it was. And I have a link to put up there with DLS. I just want to make sure, like, if we're doing it, and this is stuff like usually we take care of in the office. If a board member has concerns, we just update it, right? So Holly brought up some things to me, and I said, okay, well, the board did vote for ClearGov. It was a goal of the board way back when. So Holly, you want to jump in on this? Because like, I look at it like it's more of like an administrative thing that we could just update, but I don't want to update it where the board's not satisfied. So I'm trying to like appease what Mr. Bennett's concerns are, but at the same time, like, I don't want to overstep my boundaries either. So Holly brought up some concerns to me, and I said, you know what, just put it on the agenda, talk to the board about it. So Holly, if you could jump in.
Yeah, my concern was basically that, like you said, the board voted to get ClearGov and to put that link on that specific area. And I just didn't want to go ahead and change that when it was a vote of the board. The link that Mr. Bennett sent me goes to the DOR DLS, I believe, page.
Oh.
And it's kind of a general link that goes to all towns, but I could make it a little bit more specific and go directly to Templeton. It does look like it shows more information than we have on the old one that's on the website. But I just wanted to get the board to vote on that.
I want to say we also, some time ago, the question came up of ClearGov, and they were not giving us, the information there wasn't as updated as we had hoped it would be, and I believe, stopped funding.
Yes, because we went to town meeting vote to fund it.
Yep.
And then we dropped ClearGov because the information is available, same exact information is available from DLS, comparison community, it's various things. So we voted to discontinue ClearGov.
And I remember that. So, I mean,
It's no longer funded.
Yeah. So, I mean, what does the board think? Does the board think that we're okay just having them change the link, seeing as we've already voted to not fund ClearGov anyways?
If I may, Mr. Chair, so the decision I think with the board is ultimately, right now it goes to a ClearGov link.
Right.
And then it's really whether the board wants to go to a DLS link. It's very, I really didn't want to go to the board with this, but since the ClearGov vote was a town meeting vote and all that stuff, I was like, you know what, okay, fine, we'll go to the board. But if the board wants to go with the DLS link to Templeton, I would recommend that. Just let's move forward.
Does anyone have a concern with this just being an administrative task and that the links should just be changed, seeing as we've already voted not to fund ClearGov anyways, or do we need a motion to do this? Jeff, Mr. Bennett, do you have a one way or the other?
I would suggest we table this until we have a full board on January 8th.
Would you like to make that a motion, please?
I will make that a motion that we table this item until our next regular business meeting, which I believe is January 8th, 2025.
Can somebody confirm that, please? The date, just to make sure.
I believe that's correct. Holly,
I want to say right.
Or
Okay.
our next regular business meeting.
I have a motion to table new business item 6K until our next regular business meeting of January 8th, 2025. Is there a second?
So second.
I have a motion and second to table item 6K until our next regular business meeting of January 8th, 2025. Is there any discussion? Hearing none on the motion to table, how do you vote, Mr. Jeff?
Yes.
Or Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Jeff, Mr. Bennett, yeah. He voted yes. Ms. Griffiths voted yes. I vote yes. The motion to table is 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 9:23 p.m. And we're getting punchy, ladies and gentlemen.
And that new member, Mr. Jeff. voted for.
Mr. Jeff.
How many times I've had to say that? Was good. Can we count how many times I've had to say that tonight? And I finally messed it up. All right, action item 6L, discussion non-union merit equity raises, Mr. LaMontagne.
Okay, this is more of on a serious note. So come fiscal year 26, I'm taking out the merit equity raises for non-union personnel in the budget. We have it in the budget for the current fiscal year we're in. And I delayed it sometime because you get it October, November. I delayed it. I want to be able to see where the budget's looking and to do further analysis, with the health insurance reports we're getting. I want to be able to really get a whole vision of where we're going. I want to also note that I won't be going in for a pay raise myself come fiscal year 26. At the same time, like, leadership is one of those things where the folks you have working for you, how do you say you're not getting a raise when you're getting a raise? And I think it's very important for me to say, even though it's within my contract that the select board were to approve a satisfactory performance review, I will be turning that down. I'm not sure if the board wants to do a performance review at that point because I'm not accepting it anyways, but that's up to the board to decide. But I will say I will do my best to get us to where the levels are. There are certain areas within the non-union performance review where we have funds in the budget, particularly with the senior services department. We had a vacancy for some time where I won't need a transfer. So when you get that paperwork with the transfer paperwork, you'll see some departments not added on there, and it's because we have funds in that budget where I don't need to transfer from our intergovernmental account that town meeting authorized us to do. It's not easy, but we also know fiscal year 26 will be difficult. I'm taking the measures. As we know, with the bridge, the town did not move forward with that. We will do our best to have a budget that the town can support, whether that's at a capital stabilization or not. That remains to be seen. We have a budget, and I will closely with the chair and the vice chair of the select board, and we will come up with something that I think the town will get on the right trajectory, if we will, right? We used $430,000, and that bothers me to this day, but we did what was right for the kids in town. The select board supported that, and I have to support that decision. But we cannot continue on that practice. And I think we all agree with that. And I think Dr. Cassavant will be a great partner. He's very fair. I'm very fortunate because I hear from my other town managers and administrators where their superintendents even talk to him. We don't have that with Dr. Cassavant. And I'm confident between Dr. Cassavant and myself, we'll figure something out. And of course, obviously the select board advisory committee, because everything goes in front of them for the budget. So I think we're in the right trajectory. And I hate to do this, but it looks like there's going to be no raises unless they're contractual for fiscal year 26. But I have to do what I have to do. I want to make sure we keep the jobs we got in town, and to you hear the health insurance update. We're doing everything we can to keep the costs as low as possible. but also make sure the town services are provided as much as we can. I know it's it's kind of relatively sad update, but, and I hate to give them my pay raise myself, but it's the right thing to do. And thank you, Mr. Chair. It's not easy to do this, but I wanted to update the board.
Any questions?
So we will do a pay raise come within this fiscal year.
Yeah.
The following fiscal year, you will not see it in the budget.
Any questions for Mr. Lamontagne on that?
Just if a last minute windfall comes in, can we rescind it?
No.
It's irrevocable.
Once it's voted on by town meeting, that's it.
Oh,
So we would, so if once it's voted on in May, that's it at that point.
it's rough.
Yeah.
Roughly how many people? Do you have an idea?
Oh, geez.
It's all right.
At least 20 something.
Yeah.
On my sheet that we did the reviews for. But we are within the valuation period because you will get the transfer. Because remember, you have the 30,000 within the budget you approved in this fiscal year so you will be presented with that presented with that in this fiscal year. But I just want the board to be aware come the following fiscal year, and all the employees know this. It's not
Okay,
a secret. Yeah.
it's only 1 year.
I'm hopeful it's only 1 year, but we shall see. I was very optimistic once I heard the numbers within the Mass Strategic Health Group that Narragansett's at over 300,000 on health insurance savings. So that was very positive news. But ultimately, like, we could have our budget, and then we're very fortunate we're a Dr. Cass fan. He's a pretty fair guy. Like, I like the guy. He could be a little interesting at times, but overall, I think we're in a good predicament compared to my other town administrator managers that I talked to. So I didn't want to update the board. It's not the greatest news. It's actually not good news at all, but it is what it is.
Any other questions for Adam on this? No? Okay. No action required on this item. It's simply a discussion. Thank you for the update, Adam. We appreciate it. We
Got
already
it.
did it. Next item, 6N, action municipal posting location. Mr. Bennett, this is your action item.
Yes. Okay, this came about through finding that the templetonmass.gov was not the official alternative posting for information for the town of Templeton. There was an open meeting law complaint filed, and the board voted to have town council answer it. And within the answer, one of the items was the official notice posting location for the town of Templeton is not templetonmass.gov, but was mytowngovernment.org. I'm not sure how that came about or when. I just know that it is on record. I went to the Attorney General's Division of Open Government page. I looked at their spreadsheet and it says My Town Government. And My Town Government is, to me, I describe it as like a bulletin board. There's like 20 different towns on there. You can go and you click on it and go to their website. You can find out all kinds of information and everything. So I had a concern that that's not, templetonmass.gov is not our official posting. And one reason is there's a town meeting vote back in 2004, Article 45. On a motion duly made, seconded, the town voted to adopt the following as a town bylaw for the purpose of informing the citizens of Templeton. Official Town of Templeton website. Templeton Board of Selectmen shall designate an official town website for the posting of town business, provide for its maintenance, security, improvement through a specific budget line item in the fiscal year following passage of this article. Now, I know when that was passed, we didn't have templetonmass.gov. We didn't have Templeton, .org,
Yeah.
or Templeton1.org, excuse me. We basically had a town volunteer who, it was a very crude website. And then when Templeton One came along, I'm just assuming that my town government was seen as a bigger, broader thing, easier to look at. So in pursuing this, I looked up how you go about changing this, and it's listed in the 9440 Code of Mass Regulations, Office of the Attorney General's Office. Again, you find the Mass Attorney General's Office, Division of Open Government, and this shows up. And to adopt or to change the alternative posting site can be done by either the chief executive officer of the municipality as defined by Mass General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7, must authorize, or a simple majority vote to adopt a municipal website as the official method of posting notice. Any municipality that adopts this has to notify the Attorney General's office in writing a notice of the adoption of the change. So everybody's on one page, and I know people go to look at, how come this isn't on my templetonmass.gov? Well, it's over here. Well, why is it over there? It's like we have two websites. We're not all on the same page. And the residents are paying money for the maintenance and upkeep and everything of templetonmass.gov, not my town government. So I brought this forward in hopes that the board would vote to adopt templetonmass.gov as the official posting and notify the Attorney General's office of the change. So in the future, it will be templetonmass.gov rather than my town government. And that was, like I said, this came about by the town meeting. I never thought to check. I just did a bad thing. I assumed Templeton One was the thing, and then we changed to templetonmass.gov. That was the official posting where all the information would go. But that's what I get for assuming. So I brought this forward and to see if the board, how they felt about it, and if we would vote.
We would need a motion. Yeah, I think that's pretty clear by what Jeff found out through the Division of Open Government and the AG's website.
So
We need a motion and we need to vote on it.
I have a motion to see if the board would vote to adopt templetonmass.gov as an official method of posting notice and to file said adoption with the Mass Attorney General's office of the change.
Second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to adopt templetonma.gov as the official method of posting notice and to file said adoption with the Attorney General of the change. Is there any discussion?
Good job, Jeff. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Young?
I just have a question. So if you did vote to do this, would that change the use of my town government? Because as we have it now, if you go to the meeting schedule on the homepage and go to select board and find one of their meetings, it pulls all of that into my town, to templetonma.gov. So they are on my town government, but they get pulled into the website. But my biggest concern is that at the time we started using my town government, Carol Harris, the town clerk, was the one that brought it forward. And we found out that it was basically her call what was used for that. I'm not sure if it's still the same way, but I just wasn't sure if all of that would have to change or if this is just a formality.
As far as I looked, like Phillipston is on my town government, but they still have, they don't have their town website listed. They still have physical. So when they post stuff, it has to be as close to the town clerk's office as possible, and it has to be visible 24/7. There's another town, it's my town government, but they have their website listed as the official posting. So they have a town website that is the official listed posting of information, but their stuff still goes to my town government.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Just be a pass through.
All right, thank you.
Make sense?
Yes, it's,
So at the end of the day, this sounds like it's just the paperwork
Just one more,
formality to clean up and all
one
that.
more question. Holly, you are comfortable with that? And you wouldn't say go to Carol first, or are you good?
No, I'm good with that. And I think Carol she really likes using My Town Government. It's a wonderful tool and it's free for the towns to use. So,
So with what everybody discussed, it still incorporates that. It just changes the status of what's acceptable and official.
So
Correct.
basically what we're doing is it's just changing what's listed on the
As
AG's
official.
website as the official, but we can still post on My Town Government
Okay.
as a pass-through. So yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
because
Okay.
right now you could post a meeting agenda on My Town Government. You don't have to post it to My Town, TempletonMass.gov because it's not the official site.
Oh,
Not the
so now we
alternative
make it. the
site.
That would make it the.
I
Okay.
completely understand.
Is there any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none on the motion to adopt TempletonMA.gov as the official method of posting notice and to file said adoption with the Attorney General of the change. How do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes,
And Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That vote is 3 yes, 0 no, and 0 abstaining at 9:39 PM. Do me a favor,
yes.
make the motion.
Oh, I make a motion to go past 10 o'clock.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second to go past 10 o'clock in order to complete the business of in order to complete the regular business of the meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, although, can't, no,
Yes.
not all those in favor. Hearing none, how do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes,
Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That vote is 3 yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining at 9:40 PM. Okay, action items done. Action item 6O, discussion town financial management policy. Mr. Bennett, this is your item.
yes. I bring this forward to the board for discussion, per Board of Selectmen operating procedures on page 5. And number 8, the establishment of policies. Policies shall be adopted by formal vote of the board only after they have been the subject of discussion at one or more meetings and presented in writing. So I wanted to just point out a few things that I looked at. And this actually came about from the last special town meeting, December 5th, to take money out of the capital stabilization fund. And I looked at it and it said, simple majority vote. And I remembered something different, so I went and checked. And it as a result of Chapter 77, the Acts of 2023, it was changed. It used to be a majority, a 2/3 majority vote. So financial
Mr. Chair?
excuse me, this is a board issue. Stabilization
Oh,
fund,
I'm
it
sorry.
says may be appropriated into them in any year. Generally, a 2/3 vote of town meeting is required to establish, amend the purpose of, or appropriate money out of a stabilization fund. DLS Bulletin 23-8. It notes the change of this, and this is the act. Chapter 77, the Acts of 2023. The act changed the quantum of votes to appropriate funds from special purpose stabilization funds so that it now is a simple majority. The present 2/3 quantum of votes for appropriation funds from a general purpose stable fund remains the same. So I want to propose updating our financial management policy on a couple of things. Because it's there in case somebody new shows up and they say, well, how do we do this? And you have a policy and well, this is how you do it. Well, right now, to me, it states that it's wrong. It's not, it hasn't been updated. So in order to change this, according to our operating procedure, it has to be discussed at least one meeting and then put in front of the board. So I would be requesting this for our next, as an agenda item for our next board. And I would submit electronically the proposed changes. So when it's on the agenda, all board members will have a chance to look at it. I mean,
Can I just make a suggestion that we, maybe we put it to the 22nd as opposed to the 8th? We piled a couple things up onto the 8th. If that's okay with you.
I'll look at the, I'll look at the thing and
Okay.
but I would be requesting this as an
Yeah.
agenda item on a business meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
To, in order to follow, the policy.
Mhm.
And also, I would discuss new growth as the, policy states, looking more closely at, recommendations from the DOR and two financial reviews of the town. Has been a suggestion to use new growth rather than part of the budget, to use it as one-time funding. And if you look at the TCTV finances right there, you know, we need to do some changes,
Okay.
some things. And also, I would propose to discuss change, the percentages of, where free cash gets put. Reason being is the annual town meeting, May 2024, you took out $430,000. The special town meeting, they put back 95. We just took out 175,000 out of the capital stabilization fund.
Up to 100.
Right, but
Yeah.
taken out, but you only put 70,000 in, you know, previous meeting. You take more out than you are replacing. The funds are gonna be depleted, but on the other side, the more important side to me, or one of the more important reasons is stabilization funds, they earn investment income, they earn interest, which goes mandated to go back into the fund. So the less money that is maintained in those funds, the less interest you are earning. It also, especially the general stabilization fund, that's what looked at for bond rating. And I don't want the town's bond rating to go backwards because we keep taking money out of, well, we got all this money over here. Yeah, we haven't touched it. We'll use it. If you have $2 million and you take 400,000 out 2 or 3 times, boom, it's gone. And it's hurting the investment income that can be earned. That's like free money. So those are a couple things in the financial management policy that I would be bringing back or requesting for agendas to be put before the board for discussion and maybe changes.
So I would say put together a red line of what you're proposing, and we'll take it up in January.
This is my bluebird, okay? I'm not sure if I'm technically savvy to do that red line, but I'll make it work.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I need that digital equity stuff.
Yeah, go ahead. Anything else on that, Mr. Bennett?
That would be it for that one.
Any
Thank you.
questions on that?
And that would go before Springtown meeting.
No, but if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt Mr. Bennett. I know he was deep in thought and he's very passionate about his beliefs. You know, I talked to Mr. Aponte and we're trying to figure out everything, you know. The financial management policy, I know he has ideas on where we're going to go with this. I just want to make sure we have everything exactly within the specification, within the notice. I know we just want to talk about it at first within the agenda. We have the financial management policy, but break it out into segments so we can have each discussion as presented. I think that's important for the public. You know, I know Jeff's been around a long time. He knows the process.
Yep.
Let's just have that discussion at that time. Overall, I think his intent is in the right place. I'm not trying to disagree with that. But when I'm looking at these policies, because we have some others coming up, I just want to have something draft. I think, Mr. Chair, you said that about the draft policies. You want to have draft policies in front of you?
I think and that's what Mr. Bennett's going to do. I mean, he brought it for discussion here as a heads up that he wants to take a look at it. And now in January, he'll put together a draft and then we can assess it.
Oh, okay. So he's going to do it in like what format? You gonna have it in red for Jeff? Or blue?
Something out.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be like, I'm just. I'm just trying to figure out for the agenda coming
I
forward.
will write up the proposed changes and it will be clear.
Oh, okay, so as long as the board, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just didn't really know where we're coming from.
When
And
he,
I didn't mean
he
to,
gets
like,
when he gets you drafts, put them on the agenda.
oh, okay. It's
Okay?
all good. We're
Bottom
all
line,
set.
When he
Okay,
gets you drafts,
thank
put them
you.
on the agenda, okay?
Sounds good.
That's where we're going.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on town financial management policy? All right, fine. Last item.
Last item.
Discussion, select board operating procedures, new proposed changes. You're up.
Yes, again, follow our policy before it can change it or amend it or
Yep.
whatever. Has to be brought forth for discussion.
Mhm.
And I have some things that, again, one of them came out through the, an open meeting law complaint that the board received. It has to do with the availability of the packet. And an answer that town council answered was that, the board is not entitled to get the packet in any different form than the general public. And it was cited that the meeting packet shall be available and be transmitted to the board electronically no later than Friday. Thereafter, it shall be available to the general public in paper form in the board's office and on the town's website. Town council left that last sentence off. And I think that's something that needs to be highlighted and followed, because it says it'll be in paper form. I don't know if we want to specify it will be in paper form on request, or if you're going to print out a couple of copies of the packet to have on the counter. But I know the complaint was that wasn't done. There was no hard copy in the office, and town council responded that didn't have to be, but in fact, our policy says it on page 4. Also, agenda requests in discussion materials have to be noon on the 7th day preceding the meeting day. In our case, that would be a Wednesday of the week before our normal schedule, and that's on page 3. And I know I've submitted or asked the town administrator if I could get this on the agenda, and he's told me on a Tuesday, well, the chair's already approved it. Our policy says you have until Wednesday. So again, need clarification, maybe change the wording or change the time frame. Role of the board as a whole, I would propose adding in the second paragraph after the word favoritism, the use of town council by the board, including questions or opinions, would only be by a vote of the board. And under responsibilities of the board chair, add item K, that the responsibility of the chair would be to ensure follow-up on all items that are tabled or passed over to another meeting. I know Mike Curry has been the chair, has said he would do that, but he might not, he's not always going to be chair. I don't know how long he's going to be on the board. So, again, this is the policy and it's guidance for whoever sits there as chair or fills in, and something is tabled, needs to be ensured that, it actually is followed up. Because there's been times, and it just happens. Because we'll table this or we'll discuss this at the next meeting, but you know how it rolls. 10 things will come up.
Yeah.
And that get top of the list, and that table thing gets forgotten.
Right, and I mean, I know that I get what you're saying, and to that point, I mean, whenever we have a motion to table, if I'm in the seat, I make sure that we try to put a specific time frame when we're going to get back to it. We did that even this evening, so.
But
I get what you're saying. We shouldn't.
It doesn't always happen. So again, these are some things that I've just been reading through the policy. I get this way every once in a while. Coffee in the morning, my morning coffee at 3 a.m. I read stuff. So, again, I will be, putting together something in writing. It'll either be, the changes will be in bold or
Mhm.
some color, whatever. Or maybe I'll have somebody show me how to do the red line. But I
All
will
right.
be requesting them as an agenda item for action at
Future meeting.
one of the business meetings sooner rather than later.
Okay,
All right?
very
And
good.
that is all I have for that.
Jeff,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Chair, could I ask a question?
Yeah, of course you can.
So, it would be a vote of the board to, access the attorney. I need a little clarification on that, and I'll just give you what happened today. I had a question, about Thirsty Turtle, and I wanted to make sure that I,
Terry, I don't think we're supposed to mention
Adam.
mention the
oh,
business name.
sorry. All right, well, I had a
You mentioned
question.
business name.
Sorry, I thought you mentioned it. That's why. I had a question and it went to the attorney and it went to the, and I called the chief and then Holly called the chief and, so would that affect that, Jeff? Like, did I do
Well,
anything
my
wrong?
thing
I
about
don't
town
wanna do
council
anything
is
wrong.
when you call town council, email them, whatever. And, it costs money. And it
Yeah,
goes
we
to
have
the
a budget. Adam has a budget.
And also in the opinion about whether an advisory committee member could be on, serve on another committee or something, the town council said, in this case, it was Julie Richards, said, have Julie give me a call if she's got any questions about her ethics or anything. Well, town council is not a personal attorney. That's why there's the state ethics commission. If you have a question on ethics, you boom. Because if you're gonna allow one individual to have access to call up town council for a personal ethics thing, then we should put town council's email and phone number on the town website so that any residents got a question about ethics or anything on government, they can just call them. Because that's what it implies to me. You're allowing one resident to use town council as their personal attorney.
So what I'm
So-
hearing is Adam has a budget at his discretion.
And again, it says in our policies, if we're gonna do something, you
Yeah.
can't act on the board's business by yourself.
Got it.
So if you're calling town council for opinion that's board business, I believe it should be a board vote. And believe that should be in the policy as future guidance.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
It's an organized board. It's the way it is.
Adam, go ahead.
So I think what Jeff's trying to say, if it's the board's vote to have a town council opinion, the board needs to vote for that. Now, I have certain privileges within my contract that I just go to the board, to town council with.
Right.
So if the board has an issue, the board votes to have a town council opinion. I don't disagree with that. I mean, you brought up the policies and everything. But if there's certain things we could do to expedite the issue and bring it to the board, I don't see an issue with that either. But I don't want to get myself in a predicament where I'm recommending certain things where the board doesn't really want it. So the board really needs to have a further discussion on really where they want to go with town council. Like, I have authority within my contract to go to town council on certain items, but the board needs to decide. And that's why I don't disagree with Jeff's trying to bring up within the procedures for the select board. What do you want to do with town council? What do you want to accomplish going to town council? And it's really the board's decision. Now, Mr. Chair, I did recognize the fact that you had implied consent earlier on. In the absence of procedures, I think you were fair in reaching out to town council. But with what Mr. Bennett's saying, I think the board needs to have a further discussion on what should the board do moving forward in getting approval to go to town council, if you will. But town council is not cheap. I mean, we're spending over $200 an hour to get opinions, and
Mr. Chair.
it's really up to the board to see where they want to go. I don't really want. It's your call. What do you want me to do? Give me guidance. I'll follow it.
Okay.
Chair.
It's pretty simple.
So that would beg the question is if Adam has certain parameters to follow for town council, he knows the budget. What would it do to the budget if we start?
I don't
Well,
think
Jeff's been here long enough. Jeff knows, I mean, the legal expenses, I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's been here with board members didn't even get approval. And they just went to town council. Jeff, I mean, I can't speak for you, but I just know from the past, like what you've been through. So, from watching meetings. So I wasn't there. But you have more of the historical reference to quote.
That's why I want to put it on the agenda and put it in front of the board.
Okay,
So-
I'll save my
We will
comments
do
for
that.
that night.
So we will do that. Anything further on that item? Hearing none, we have come to the end of both of our new and old business. Hey, hallelujah. Board member comments. I will start to my right. Ms. Griffiths, do you have any comments this evening?
I just have a request for a future, for sometime in January. I
Yep.
know that we've got our legislative team coming January 8th, so I know there are people who are following the PCB removal by the EPA at 24 Holman Street online, but could we please get an update from Wing Chow and Company some further in January? Sorry. Along with the update, I would like to know who's trucking the soil and I wouldn't be me if I didn't care where it was going and how they were disposing of it.
Mr. Chair, if I could object to that.
Okay, so what's your objection, Adam?
Mr. Chow already provided an update to the board. We're working with the EPA and they're funding the cleanup. I'm not sure why Mrs. Griffiths is presenting this.
So it's her member comments. She can speak what she wants in her member comments.
Correct,
and
correct, yeah.
She's asking for
An update.
a further update on the remediation.
Yeah, there were people at special town meeting that were not aware of everything and, it was just obvious when they came up to the microphone that they would like more information. And Mr. Chow did say he would make himself available to the public, for public, as much as needed.
So in that case, because if I remember correctly, I believe that cleanup, Adam, is close to being completed. I want to say they were supposed to be done in January, weren't they?
I mean, the EPA is cleaning it up. I don't understand why there's frustration about it. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I maybe it's just because I moved from another community to here, but there's like this objection to cleaning up the site. Why
I'm not
are we
objecting,
to the
I'm
cleanup?
interested.
I don't think there's an objection. I think there's just a request for information, Adam. And
Yeah.
let's-
Okay, well, I mean, I
Where we're at.
can certainly follow up with Wing if the board
Yep.
were to request that. I don't want to be, but I'm just saying. I mean, the EPA is funding a $2 million cleanup here.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, at the last meeting, I was upset with the way they were treated, with the way that because they were cleaning up the site and they were treated horribly.
Yeah. Adam.
I will say that. No, because I felt the disrespect.
Yeah,
And when the
okay.
federal government comes in to clean up a site, we shouldn't treat them like that.
Adam. Okay. The request is for more information. Please reach out to Mr. Chow and ask him if he can provide a further update to a future business meeting.
I will do that.
Thank you.
And I just want to make it clear because I felt they were disrespected.
Okay. And that is understood, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Terry?
Safe and happy holidays. I know
Thank-
we're meeting next week for one item, but
I'm going to get to that in a second. Mr. Bennett, comments?
Yes, I have one thing I'd like to point out, and it has to do with the Disability Commission that was voted at the annual town meeting, May 12th, 2021, Article 15. Within the motion, it's town meetings, this is town meetings vote, it's their instructions Said commission shall keep records of its meetings and actions and shall file an annual report which shall be printed in the city or town annual report and shall have at least 10 meetings annually. I don't think we've ever appointed anyone to it. I looked in the annual town reports, there's no mention of them. And under our town bylaws, Chapter 22, election and town meetings, committee reports. All committees shall report as directed by the town. If no report is made within a year after its appointment, a committee shall be discharged unless, in the meantime, the town shall have granted an extension of time. So my concern, or what I think the conundrum here is, town meeting gave instructions of what they wanted this commission to do. And we have a bylaw that says if those aren't followed, then it needs to be dissolved. So again, that would be something I will probably be asking to be on the board for discussion, because town meeting gave clear instructions what they want, and they haven't been followed because, well, we really don't have a disability commission because we haven't appointed anyone to it. So we're gonna have to figure something out, because right now, the bylaw says it goes away, but that was something that would have to be looked at.
Anything else?
So, and that was all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. All right. My member comments, and I just have to find something very quickly. Where is it? It's one of these things. Oh, God. No, it wasn't it. I apologize, folks. I have something here, and here we go. This should be it. My member comments, it was brought to the attention of the chair and myself, that the developer working on the old Camelot site, which is going to be a cannabis dispensary, is he needs to have host agreements signed off. We received this on Monday. I think it was Monday, right, Adam? Okay, so we received this information on Monday.
Cause he's got all that grant money.
Yeah, it's the problem here is that he has grant money that is dependent on the host agreements. And he has to have that all taken care of by, I believe, basically December 31st. He had originally asked to be put on this agenda's meeting. In consultation with the chair, I said, no, that's not enough time for the board to review the agreements.
And that was Monday, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and that was Monday, so.
That was out on Monday, so the board knows you dealt with that matter on Monday.
So tonight, I am using my authority as the chair to schedule an emergency meeting for Wednesday, the 18th of December at 6:30 p.m. to be held in this meeting. It will be a one-item agenda. It'll be those host community agreements that need to be dealt with. And I am directing the town administrator to issue the meeting packet as normal schedule, so it'll be issued tomorrow for your review, and we will have the one agenda item meeting 1 week from tonight. Is there any questions or concerns on that particular?
Nope.
Okay. Other than that, thank you, Adam.
So, Mr. Chair, if we can, mention the social equity program grant monies. What was the value of those grant monies? I thought I sent it off to you. I'm sorry.
I don't remember it, so I'm not going to mention it right now.
No, but there's monies on the line with the social equity program, and that's why I reached out to the chair and vice chair. And Matt's doing the right thing by bringing this to your attention to make sure that because it could certainly be an impact on a business in town, and he's doing the right thing.
Yeah. So,
That's what we said.
so anyways, I apologize for having to do the emergency meeting, but I didn't feel it fair to the board to give you that stuff on a Monday and ask you to vote on it on Wednesday. We would have been within the 48-hour timeframe per open meeting law, but I didn't feel it was fair.
My only question would be, is it worth TCTV coming out? It costs $100 to set up a meeting for one item. I don't know if it needs to be.
All of
handled on
our
TCTV.
select board meetings regardless, because even if we schedule a meeting before a town meeting, they record them, so TCTV will have to come out. Yeah, it should be.
It's no problem.
See, there you go. See, there you go. So anyway, so thank you for your consideration, and like I said, I apologize for having to place an emergency meeting next week, but the circumstances are such that if we don't do this, the developer potentially loses quite a bit of money in grants, so I
That's to do our duty.
Exactly.
Our job.
So
Yeah, and and Matt, Mr. Revar, just for the public's information, this is the Camelot building over on the Rotary. Just so the public knows what we're talking about the following meeting with the host community agreement.
Wow.
You know, I did talk with Matt about it. He's familiar, and he's trying to help small businesses in town. But we just couldn't add it to the agenda this evening. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Other than that, I have no further comments. Thank you, Adam. We have no executive session scheduled for this evening, and so at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn until December 18th at 6:30 PM. I have a motion by Mr. Bennett and a second by Ms. Griffiths. Is there any discussion? Hearing none on the motion to adjourn until December 18th at 6:30. How do you vote, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.